I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
With a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Rosen, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
Doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. That's not good. Audio issues going on over here right now. I got to make sure I don't touch anything. What's going on, guys? This is a show where we get together Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific. And what is this all about, you may ask? Yeah, let me tell you. This is a show where we talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about, and you know what they are. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. And of course, that means that this show, well, other than being live, we do this live, like I said, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific. And the reason we do that, the reason we've always done that, is to include you, to take phone calls, to interact, to engage with people out there, and see if there's some truth to some of the more wild conspiracies, more wild ideas and theories out there. Is there any sort of basis in a lot of this stuff? And that's what we've always done here. We call it drinking the maybe juice. All right, drinking the maybe juice, and that just means that for an evening we get together, we suspend our disbelief, and we consider the possibility that these things may or may not be true. And that's that. It's really as easy as that. And some of the things we talk about are out there, way out there. And that's okay. And it's most of them aren't our ideas, my ideas in particular, or yours even, until we start getting phone calls. But point being, when this conversation begins, it's about a lot of things, right? We, like I always said on this show, we take a wide berth because we want to make sure that we talk about all the things. All right, all the things, and not just politics or whatever, day in and day out. It's just so exhausting, right? I just get so tired of the news cycles that it's all politics all the time. But no, well, guess what? On this show, it has nothing to do with any of that. It has I try to make it fun. I try to be pick things that are interesting to me, and of course, some of the more wild ideas out there, because that's what makes a fun conversation in my eyes. Is people believe this stuff, or people don't believe it, or there's somewhere in between. And I think therein lies the the conversation, right? It's in between. Well, do you believe this? Do you not believe this? Do other people believe this, or that, and the other thing? And that's all fine and well. So that's why we do this in the format we do it. Which means, of course, you can call in if you want to be part of the show tonight. You can reach us at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. That's the official website of Troubled Minds, troubledminds.org. Super simple. And phone number is there on the website. The Discord link is there. Just click the Discord link. You'll get a direct invite, and you can get to come hang out with all the amazing people that are already on the Discord. It's a chat room. It's a voice room. You can share links and photographs and all kinds of stuff in there. It's a pretty amazing program, like we always say, and it's free. So not only is it free, we're not sponsored by them. It's just good software deserves good marks, and I give them the top marks because Discord's doing good things. No censorship there, by the way, not yet. I think they're probably working on it because of the terrorism stuff that's going on. You know what I mean? The wink terrorism stuff. Depending on how all that stuff works out or changes or does not, you know how that is, right? Or how yesterday what wasn't a terrorist is a terrorist tomorrow. Yeah, well, unfortunately, so maybe one day in the future it won't be like that. But as of right now, as far as I can tell, Discord is not at all censored. So that's an amazing thing. All right, so what we're going to do is a couple more things real quick. So regarding Discord, please join the Fringe FM Discord at fringe.fm/chat. That will give you a direct invite to that Discord as well. I'm watching all of them, watching all the chats and all the different places that we're streaming as well. And you could also download the app, the Fringe FM app, basically on the iTunes and the Android App Store, right? Anywhere apps are found. And that's the easiest way to listen to Troubled Minds. At 7:06 sharp on Monday through Thursday. Just smash the play button on the app, and you'll get me and Troubled Minds. So that's what's up. All right. So okay. And by the way, one more last thing before we get into this, we are streaming on Rockfan, DLive, YouTube, and Twitter, and we're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And I think that wraps it up. I think that settles all the things we need to talk about. As just as an intro, getting things settled here. All right, so last night we talked about a breakaway civilization, all right? And what the heck does that even mean? And all kinds of stuff, right? And there was a lot of ideas flowing through there, a lot of great calls. We had a lot of fun on that show last night. But the thing is, it got me thinking in terms of, well, what would a breakaway civilization use as far as technology goes? Sort of kind of taking this to the furthest end, right? And like Night Stalker said, some people in the past have said, well, think Stargate, not Star Trek. Okay, and so as a result, wouldn't you know it, in the news today of all times, conveniently, we have a new theory on wormholes. All right, and so this is how this begins. We'll start here. This is from Curiosmos, reported this, and it's today, November 17th, and here we go. Study claims spacecraft could travel through cosmic wormholes to reach distant galaxies. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What does this mean? Okay, now, so some of the issues here, the old Einstein-Rosen wormholes, theoretically, they've been predicted to not be stable, okay? Meaning that they'd have to be super tiny, and they would have to basically disappear in an instant. Like in a split second, they would appear, and then they would disappear, all right? That's the Einstein-Rosen version of a black hole. And so, we've talked about this in the past, kind of in the periphery of some of these other discussions, and the energy output to create something like this is enormous. It's supermassive black hole type energy, right? So I don't know. This is one of those things. When I saw this today, I was like, isn't that weird? So here's the subheadline: an unusual new theory suggests that wormholes, portals that connect different parts of the universe and even allow time travel, can be stable when viewed in terms of the Eddington-Finkelstein metric. And that's different, right? That's different than the Einstein-Rosen wormhole and the rest of this stuff. So let's read just a little bit of this and kind of settle us into the conversation tonight, which, of course, is about wormholes. All right? And wormholes in particular, like we've described, if this technology is in play out there somewhere, it kind of changes everything, doesn't it? I've been watching Stargate SG-1 quite a bit recently because it's leaving Netflix at the end of the month. I'm a little disappointed disappointed about that because I'm probably not going to get through all of it because I just not enough hours in the day. But it's a pretty good show. No spoilers. I'm not going to spoil it, even though it's a 20-year-old show here. It's one of those things that was so long and had so many long and winding roads in the plots and whatever that I'm not gonna get into that. But it is good. If you guys haven't watched it, you got an extra, I don't know what, hundreds and hundreds of hours to watch 10 seasons of SG1. I recommend it. I do recommend it. So check that out. But anyway, so I've been watching a bunch of that, and clearly in that show, the entire premise is, well, you guessed it, they have a Stargate underground in Cheyenne Mountain, of all places, right? So here we go. So this kind of got me thinking in those terms. And those again, the conversation last night was the breakaway civilization and all the rest of this. So here we go. The possibility of the existence of wormholes or space-time tunnels that allow you to quickly overcome almost any distance was predicted on the basis of Einstein's theory of general relativity. In the past, it was widely believed that keeping the wormhole open would require some theoretical exotic matter. Otherwise, the tunnel would quickly disappear once it was created without a force to keep it from collapsing. So usually the problem of building wormholes is to choose such a configuration of matter and energy so that this would allow the formation of a stable tunnel that allows passage not only of individual particles but also of large bodies. In addition, wormholes built in the usual way within the framework of general relativity turned out to be virtually impassable. The entrances to such wormholes are hidden behind the event horizon, which remains an insurmountable obstacle for us. This means that if a person even falls into such a wormhole, he or she will not be able to get out of it. All right? So here we go. All right, so so this is the new theory that describes wormholes as being a possible thing now, scientifically, and so we'll go with this. Another problem is related to the fact that macroscopic wormholes can be very unstable. It was believed that in order to stabilize a wormhole, it is necessary to create it from exotic matter with the property of negative energy, which again, within the framework of conventional theories, is still achievable only on microscopic quantum scales. So physicists can use different metrics to describe the behavior of objects, and sometimes one metric can give you more information than the other, although all describe the same event or case. The most famous metric when it comes to wormholes is the Schwarzschild Metric, named after the German physicist and astronomer Karl Schwarzschild. Decades ago, it helped scientists describe the properties of black holes for the first time. All right, but now check this out. So now a new theory suggests that maybe this is all wrong. However, when describing the routes of movement through wormholes using this metric, physicists face difficulties at a certain distance from the object, defined as the Schwarzschild radius or the event horizon. The destruction of the metric that occurs in such cases does not allow one to correctly describe different points in spacetime. But now, let's add this into the mix, and this is where the new theory comes in. Since Einstein and Rosen theorized their wormhole using this metric, it has become a staple in the research field, and most scientists use it in their studies. Physicist Pascal Coiran, I think is how you say that, who is behind the latest theory, decided to use a more precise metric called the Eddington-Finkelstein. Unlike the Schwarzschild metric, it describes what happens when particles reach the event horizon. And of course, here's where it is. According to Coiran, particles can cross it and pass through a wormhole, and their path can be traced through a hypothetical wormhole. He claims that Eddington-Finkelstein metric does not fail at any point in the process. While this does not refute the assumptions that wormholes are unstable, it indicates that they may not be as destructive as scientists believe them to be, and using them to travel could be possible one day. In fact, there may be stable paths that can be calculated and traced within the framework of the theory of general relativity. All right. So now, here's the crazy part. All right. So then, now scientifically, they're saying there's a way. All right. And again, just not too long ago, it is interesting how science flip-flops and changes its damn mind all the time, isn't it? Even though we're, trust the science. You guys know that. It should be a t-shirt, trust the science. But in any case, as always, science is ever-changing. And so that's why a term like trust the science is, let's just say propaganda. All right, let's call it propaganda. But I'll call it that. All right, I'm calling it propaganda because, of course, science is always changing, and even it backtracks on itself when it skips or goes too fast. It has to reverse and go back and correct some mistakes, and that's what the science does. You trust the process, right? And so the process and the results are always changing. So clearly, I don't need to tell you what the implications of that are regarding the term trust the science. But anyway, back to this now. Not too long ago, and like I said, the science is always kind of flip-flopping in regards to theoretical physics here, is that wormholes themselves were not able to be mathematically stable. It just didn't work, right? The Einstein and Rosen version just did not make this work. But now, through these new calculations, they're describing this as, well, maybe wormholes are a thing. And where do they start? Where do they end? I guess so what happens now, right? If that's the case, and let's say that science is settled, damn it, right? Damn it, the science is settled, and let's just say that. And we'll say that these wormholes can remain stable. And so, of course, it gets me thinking in terms of what exactly does that mean for the rest of the universe? If wormholes can be stabilized and large objects, people, maybe spacecraft, maybe whatever, can be pushed through these wormholes to other parts of not just the galaxy, but the universe at large, then, well, what does it mean for us? What does it mean for, we can add this to the conversation tonight as well. Last night we talked about the breakaway civilization. What does it mean for that? And, well, what does it mean for, I don't know, some of these other wacky theories that seem to be out there regarding, let's say Stargates. So I think that's the strangeness of this, is that that's what we're at tonight. And so what are your theories? Now, there are all kinds of theories out there that, there's some sort of portal system that kind of uses the sun as the stars as like an energy device to be able to do this. There's footage that suggests that maybe this is the case. UFOs are able to maybe take plasma from the sun and create their own, jump gates or whatever like this. Of course, which would be wormholes or exactly what we're talking about. But so what are the implications here? First off, do you think this is even real? Do you think this Stargate thing, this whole idea, again, maybe not SG-1 in particular with all that, the mythology behind that and, the whole thing and the aliens and all the stuff that's, included in that, not that, right? I mean, sure, maybe that, but not that in particular. But what about if there is an actual Stargate somewhere here on Earth? What would that mean? Of course, it would mean lots of things, wouldn't it? It would mean that we could actually travel, people could travel wherever that Stargate attached to on the other end. And, of course, you would expect there to be probably more than one place. So let's just call it that. So I don't know. So what do you think about this? Do you think, there's been, in the past, right, there's been some rumors of these ancient Stargates, all right? In terms of, maybe in the side of a cliff, these doorways carved in, which we'll get to. There's been stories of, in some conspiracy circles, they say that there was the Iraq War was about a Stargate in the ancient Sumerian Stargate, they call this, right? And so what do you think? So as we get to that, and we're going to talk about Stargates tonight and wormholes and this theoretical physics stuff, but, the science is, less fun because the science is what the science is, and this paper is suggesting a new model that says wormholes can be stable. So the question for you tonight is this. Do you think this is real? Do you think this wormhole stuff is like a real technology that maybe somebody on the planet, or even maybe that breakaway civilization we talked about last night, has access to? All right. Is there one out there, at least one? And if that's the case, what does it mean for not just Earth, but what about the rest of the galaxy and the rest of the universe? So that's what's on my mind tonight. If you want to be part of this, if you think it's real, if you think it's a bunch of hocus pocus BS, that's totally cool. We're considering all the things and doing what we call drinking the maybe juice, and considering that some of this wildest theories, right? Some of this type of stuff, if it's actually real, what are the implications? So that's what's on my mind tonight. That's how we begin this. And if you want to be part of the show, I just realized right now I didn't even read the phone number tonight, I don't think. But you can give us a call at 702-957-1037. That's 957-1037. That is a Las Vegas area code, which is where we're streaming from, of course, and broadcasting from. And you can go click the Discord link at troubledminds.org, and that will put you right in the Discord. You can be on the show that way as well. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of this. There's some theories that some of these ancient civilizations actually had access to Stargates, right? And we've talked about Project Stargate, the remote viewing thing by the CIA, right? We've talked about that. But there seems to be a lot more to this than just sort of a Stargate in your mind. It seems that there are some circles out there where they describe Stargates as being a real thing and currently existing on Earth now in this time, not in some other timeline, right here. So I don't know. That's what's on my mind tonight, and we're going to get to this story. It's a little bit like this, right? The Iraqi Stargate conspiracy. Now, do you think that this is actually real? Meaning that, again, back in the Iraq War, they say that it was not tipped off by weapons of mass destruction, right? It was actually a war fought over a Stargate that Saddam Hussein had acquired and was about to use for who knows what purpose. And I think that's the weirdness of this, right? It seems out there. I'll go with that right off the bat. It seems like, wait, what? But, we've heard some stranger things. Lou Elizondo, as we saw last night, as we played those clips, was describing pretty much a secret sect of people that were kind of operating off the books with these massive black budget, project type stuff, and were, maybe have been responsible for the UFOs and things we see. And if that's the case, then, well, is it too far out of the question right now to suggest that maybe this Stargate stuff and this the battle for the Iraqi Stargate back in the Iraq War was actually as they say? So that's what's on my mind tonight. Love to hear your thoughts on this. And again, all takes are welcome here. Only thing I ask is you don't curse on the radio. First 2 hours we are on the radio, the actual radio. So please don't do that. But you're allowed to believe whatever you want to believe. This isn't about getting an echo chamber together. If you think it's a BS, that's cool. I'm completely okay with that because it does seem pretty far-fetched. And far-fetched stuff to me is that's why we drink what we call the maybe juice. So let's have some maybe juice together and consider that if these Stargates are real, then what are the implications for not just now, the world we live on, but what about the galaxy? What about the universe? And it could probably explain quite a lot of things, couldn't it? So there you go. As we wind this down and get to our first break, that's what we're looking to do. We just have a conversation here. And what are your thoughts on this Stargate technology? Do you think the ancients at some point ever on this planet actually were able to access a Stargate, one way or the other? So, you tell me. If you want to be part of the conversation, love to hear your thoughts. And it goes a little like this. Let's press the buttons. There you go. So, Stargate technology. Fact or fiction? Love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And if this stuff is real, what does it mean for breakaway civilizations, for star travel, for basically everything? I think the paradigm of our world completely changes if this one little far-fetched thing, albeit far-fetched, if this one thing is actually real. So, that's what we're doing tonight. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More Stargates, wormholes, and you when we return. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And we're taking your phone calls tonight. As usual, if you want to be part of this conversation, I'll read you the phone number in just a moment. But what is the premise? We're talking about wormholes. New Science Today actually describes a wormhole as mathematically being stable. Well, that flies in the face of many other predictions, including Einstein, the Einstein-Rosen bridge, those predictions. And so it got me thinking. It got me thinking about what are the implications if this could actually be true, including, well, you know the drill, sort of this whole idea of maybe a Stargate. And the Stargates, the portals, this type of thing. Is there a system already in place? And, of course, if so, right, just considering the implications, if this was a thing, you got to expect that this is the thing wars would be fought over, right? Like, this is the type of thing that would change humanity forever. And of course, if that was allowed to happen, and so it doesn't. So here's the part with me. All right. So this is my take on this as we begin this conversation tonight. I think it's unlikely. All right. I do want there to be Stargates out there, but I think it's unlikely only because you would expect maybe a leak somewhere. I don't know. I guess this is the type of thing that maybe they would kill people to keep secret, right? Maybe that's possible. But I think the thing is this. If it did exist, I think there's no way in hell they'd tell us, right? I think that's probably one of those things where we can probably most of us agree on that if they had this sort of technology, they wouldn't allow it to get out, because if they did, it would sort of change everything, wouldn't it? And of course, we talked about the breakaway civilization last night and that free energy and the 0 point energy and things like this. So what are your thoughts? Is there an actual Stargate system in place? Do you think ancient civilizations possibly had this technology from, I don't know, like the ancient astronaut theory through Zecharia Sitchin and maybe the Anunnaki? Maybe they left a Stargate here in Iraq, of all places. So because, well, that would be the Fertile Crescent right around that area. That would be right around exactly where they say human civilization actually began. So, well, you tell me. Love to hear your thoughts on this. If you want to be part of this discussion, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and we'll put you on the show. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org, and we'll, there you go. We'll talk about this. What are the implications? Do you think if this technology existed, they'd tell us about it? Any of the rest of this stuff? Looking to hear your ideas here. All right, now this is from listverse.com, written by our good friend Marcus Louth. He's been on the show quite some time back. We should probably reach out to him and try and get him back on the show again at some point. But let's just look at this, right? Let's look at a couple things real fast. We got a phone call coming in. We'll take that in just a sec. But there's a list of 10 possible 10 ancient sites that might be Stargates, portals, and wormholes. All right. So here we go. In 1996, this Gate of the Gods in Hayumarca, Peru. 1996 was discovered by Jose Luis Delgado Mamani while he was trying to learn the layout of the area for a job he had recently taken as a tour guide. The Gate of the Gods at Hayumarca in Peru is said by native tribes to once have acted as a gateway to the land of the gods. Mamani even claims that he had dreams of the doorway for years before he had accidentally found it. In his dream, Mamani stated that the pathway leading to the doorway was made of pink marble, and he had also witnessed a smaller door that was open with a brilliant blue light coming from what seemed like a shimmering tunnel. And so the doorway is actually two doorways, almost in a T shape. The larger doorway measures 7 meters wide and 7 meters high, while the smaller one stands 2 meters high, about 6.5 feet tall, in the middle of the base. Legends state that the larger door is for the gods themselves. The smaller door is for mortals to pass through, and some heroic mortals did, becoming immortal themselves to live among the gods. Now, this is pretty wild here. One legend of a mortal passing through the doorway appears to lend a little credibility to Mamani's alleged dream. The story says that when Spanish explorers arrived in Peru in the 16th century, looting Inca riches as they went, an Incan priest named Amaru Maru fled his temple with a valuable golden disc, the key of the gods of the seven rays. Amaru Maru found the doorway and saw it was guarded by shaman priests. He presented to them the golden discs, and following a ritual performed by the priests, the smaller doorway opened. Behind it was a tunnel that shone with a great blue light. Amaru Maru passed into the doorway, left the disc with the shaman priests, and vanished from Earth to the land of the gods. And there you go. There's one. And there's a lot of this. There's a lot of these stories out there that are, I don't know about similar, but at least in the same vein of maybe these ancient portals were a thing. These maybe Stargates, and maybe they're still out there. Because, I mean, let's be real. Let's say you did find a Stargate, regardless of what it looked like. If you didn't know how to turn it on, it wouldn't look like a Stargate at all, would it? So I guess we'll do that. We'll call it that. And, what do you think a Stargate would look like? We'll add that to the conversation tonight. So anyway, let's go to, we got a couple, I copy that, James, I see there. Let's go to our good friend, Joe in Florida. Joe, what's up, my man? Welcome to the show. How are you tonight?
Not too bad. Good topic. Maybe I'll throw a little curveball in here. But
sure, go right ahead.
Curious that this all came out. I'm a big fan of Stargate, the original movie, the series, and you know how we say that they always let things leak out in Hollywood. So just like yesterday, basically, I think it's Amazon or Netflix, one of the platforms, is talking about doing another version of Stargate on Earth, but the twist is going to be that this time Stargate is public information to the general public.
Ah. Okay. All right. I didn't see that. So it's in the works, is it?
It's in the works. It's been written, and some of the headlines was on my Facebook feed. It's like Stargate's going to be not redone because it's going to have the original crew, but it's going to be like a new crew, and whatever they're going to write, but it's supposed to be public information. If you watch the actual series, which is good, I mean, it traces mythology, Egyptian, that really Atlantis wasn't here, but in the pole, it goes in the North Pole, South Pole, that there's an Atlantean outpost, but it's an outpost, basically, and there's another gate. And it's also got to do with genetics. So certain people in this timeline, which now that we're talking about it, I'm starting to think of things I didn't think about. But you know how we talk about tracing genetics or tracing the lineage throughout time. In the series, only certain people that have they call it the gene. I forget if it's the Atlantean gene, but they call it the gene. They figure out that certain people that have the gene can control, like the chair and the drones and certain alien artifacts. Certain people on Earth can pass down, and they're able to control some of the objects. As far as a wormhole or a black hole, yeah, I think it's totally possible. Have we traveled there yet? I don't know. I would think that regular astronomers would hopefully have seen some kind of distortions in the general field of space that they're looking at. As far as I know, one light year, we don't have an engine that could get us. If we found a wormhole that was 20 light years away, as far as I know, we don't have a rocket ship that's, going to reach that within a lifetime. Unless you had something totally different. Or the other thing that always comes to mind is, how do they know this? Well, maybe the math bears out that these things are stable, but maybe they've proven it with the Hadron Collider. Maybe they've done something at the Hadron Collider that we just don't know about, and they've been able to stabilize a mini wormhole, like you mentioned earlier.
So there's one answer to that question then. So what would a wormhole, a portal of such, actually look like? A Stargate? Well, it might be CERN. There's one idea, absolutely, and I think that's part of what they're trying to do there, right? I mean, they're trying to kind of crack into whatever kind of break space time, right? To sort of be able to.
Well, here's the thing: all of us here listening, I think we all have the ability to play chess to some extent. And when I say that we're all here questioning things, and we're able to take pieces from this little story and pieces from this little story. So when you say that, what immediately comes to mind for me is nuclear fission reactors. They're finally able to start to generate a magnetic field or a laser field that would be strong enough to contain a fusion reaction, not a fission reaction. Okay, which is basically the stuff of Star Trek, when the reactor core melts because they can't make containment. So we're starting to be able to make containment. So I'm not a scientist, and this is just, conjecture or guess, but who knows if we're not able to use, or they're not using that technology to stabilize something that the hadron pops open. Anything that they collide, any particle that they collide, it lasts for, milliseconds. They can measure it, but it only lasts for a very tiny amount of time. But maybe they could take technology that we're supposed to use for fusion reactions, magnetic containment or laser containment, and maybe they're able to stabilize and open something. And like Derek the Night Stalker so fond of saying, and I'll laugh one day if it ever happens, maybe the old ones are on the other side. I don't know.
Okay, so there's the other question, right? So assuming there is a Stargate out there, even if it is CERN or if it's like we described here, the Gate of the Gods in Marca, Peru, is there what would be on the other side? I think that's the craziest part. So in this legend, I'm pretty sure you heard that while you were waiting on the phone there, is that one of these priests actually was able to use the key, conduct some sort of ritual, and the man-sized door, not the God-sized door, but the man-sized door actually turned into a portal, and he walked in and never came back. So is he?
I heard that story.
Yeah, is he eating dinner with the old ones right now? That's a hell of a question, isn't it? or they're eating him for dinner.
They might be eating him for dinner.
Exactly.
Yeah. They might be eating him for dinner. I mean, I wish it would be the most practical way that they could stabilize a wormhole, and we can go. But, when I think about being 10 or 20 years behind technology, I think Stargate finished like in 2009 or 2010. And here we are, 10 or 11 years later, and they're talking about, writing something that's is going to say that this is public. It just makes you go, And the other thing is if we have an advent for a supercomputer, who knows if that computer or quantum computing, who knows if when we reach that point, that machine's not going to be able to take all the mathematics that we've done, correct any little errors or mistakes, and then actually maybe give us the possibility of how to get there.
Yeah, or you can take so in terms of I dig that idea. How about this to just layer one more, take a swig of maybe juice and add this on top? Is what if these D-wave quantum computers are actually able to crack into the matrix that we're living in? Let's say that back to that old theory of we live in a simulation. That if you crack into the code itself, then you're able to create wormholes or portals that way, sort of through like the digital domain. What about that one, eh?
That is, maybe that's what they're waiting for. Maybe, we talked about this before. I've always thought that the speed of light is that barrier, because even though we could see things, if we travel beyond the speed of light, the simulation may not be able to run the program that fast. So what happens if we jumped the program? What happens if, and it's a great thing, right? I mean, what happens if we jumped, but we didn't jump to someplace else in our space? What happens if we just jump to another reality? Because we're the only program running.
Yeah, agreed. And that's is that the portal to the gateway to the gods, as it were? Ooh.
We go to we slip into not another planet or something. We just slip into like Earth 2, like we're watching the metaverse or whatever you want to call it, but we slip into, and then what happens? Does the game shut off? Did we get to the end of the game? Because you're talking about breaking the game when you say that.
Exactly.
And that's what you're saying. And, and then the other thought occurs, I should have written it down, but what happens if we're being watched? I think we talked about it yesterday. What happens if we have been created to be watched to see if we could solve a problem that they can't work out? Whoever they is, assuming that we were created.
I like it.
That gets into a whole other bunch of things that I was thinking about, like, with aliens and why almost every species on this planet has to mate to keep going, to have that drive. That's a whole other question. But a Stargate, yeah, maybe, maybe they might be able to take lasers. I mean, I remember reading something about a defense system. I know the Israelis just had something recently, but they were talking about if they were able to focus enough lasers on a certain area, you'd be able to affect the air in that area, maybe knock down a missile. But what happens if you're able to focus enough lasers in an area of space that you were able to literally tear it open?
Just rip it open. the portal the old-fashioned way.
Well, and then how would you get it to open? What do we have that's the power of the sun, the density of the sun, the gravity? What happens if we dropped a small nuke or we opened up something that way and we're able to stabilize it? If that was the way we had to get our first wormhole. Because to me, based with Einstein, mass changes space, mass curves space and time. So how will we be able to do that in one big shot? I don't know. I don't know. Or like the scientists may be saying, we find a wormhole or a black hole that's out there, and maybe we can construct a gate, like a Dyson sphere around the sun, and maybe we construct a gate, and that gate has enough magnetism or something to stabilize, and then maybe we can go through.
Well, in any case, Joe, when you figure it out, please, I'd like to be the first to know.
I know. I'll let you guys go. I just figured I'd start it out because I'm getting sleepy. I was going to try to stay up for the eclipse, but it's cloudy here, so that's kind of a bummer. But anyway, so I don't know. It's Thursday. Everybody have a good weekend. Thanks for putting up with me. And I'm interested to hear what everybody else is saying. So thank you.
You're the best. Thanks, Joe. Joe in Florida. Have a fantastic night and a great weekend, brother. There you go. Phone line works. Thank you, Joe, for calling and getting us started off tonight. We're talking about portals. We're talking about Stargate technology. So a new paper came out today, and this is why we're talking about this, describing that actual, wormholes can actually be stable. There's a different way to look at it mathematically that really paints the picture of, okay, so if this is true, and what does that mean about Stargate technology throughout basically the entire universe? And there are some stories that describe Stargates, happening in ancient times here on Earth. So basically, I want to know what you think about this. Is this too far out there? Is this too much maybe juice, Mike? Mike, back off the maybe juice. That's okay. If that's the case, no sweat, because that's what we do. Try and push the envelope a little bit with some of the ideas, some of the conversations. And if it's BS and hogwash, so be it. Right? We'll call it that and move on. It's no big deal. But so that's what's happening here, and we will. Let's see. Okay. All right. Yeah. So James, hang tight. We got a phone call right behind here that we're going to take that, and then we'll do you right at the top of the hour. So let's do this. We're taking your phone calls at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Let's go to James in Washington State. What's up, my brother? How are you tonight?
Hey, man. How are you?
Oh, doing pretty good. What do you think about this, the Stargate stuff? Do you think this is a bunch of BS, or do you think there might be something to this?
No, there's got to be something to it, one way or the other, whether it's with CERN or the D-waves, whether they're combined. Yeah, there's got to be something to it. But I wanted to ask you if you've seen the telescope footage from John Leonard Walson. He's on YouTube. He builds his own telescopes, and he's got great footage of the moon and great footage of these plasma ships that are like flying through space.
I don't think so. It doesn't ring a bell. But if I saw it, it might be one of those things that I would recognize. Is it from a long time ago, like a couple, 3-4 years, or is this brand new stuff?
No, he's been filming them for 10 years. I looked on his channel. It goes back quite a ways.
Okay, so it could be, maybe I have seen this stuff. But anyway, so describe what he's seeing. So he builds his own telescopes. What's he seeing out there?
So as far as the ships go, they almost look like something from Transformers, like a giant mech ship that looks like a 3-horned demon with a giant staff. Yeah, I kid you not. It's crazy. You can can you pull it up can you pull that channel up? Because like he's got tons of videos of these things.
Yeah, if you're going to hang out with us, remind me in the third hour. It's better for video. Video is not good for radio. So we'll remind me later. We'll definitely pull it up.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Well, for the listeners out there that want to look on YouTube and look at these, his name is John Leonard Walson with an S, Walson, not Walton, and he builds his own telescopes and he's been filming these and he gets way better footage of the moon than NASA does. It's ridiculous. It's so awesome. And I don't think very many people know about it. So this is stuff that needs to get out there and be seen by people, because he's calling it the Trump Space Force. He's saying, because when Trump was talking about a Space Force, that's what he put that video up of a recent one. And there's all kinds of other ships. There's one that looks like something that would be out of like Star Trek. And they almost look like they're made out of plasma and not even like, it's hard to explain. You would have to see it, because they're all glowing and fluorescent almost. And there's just a lot of intense stuff going on, but he's got great footage of it real close up. And it just blows my mind. And he's got other footage of like UFOs around the moon and stuff. And when you guys are talking about this, I was like, that's got to be it. They're using these ships.
Go ahead.
You know what I mean? To be traveling through Stargates or something and doing just stuff that's way beyond anything they're telling us. 20 years, 50 years ahead, yeah, they got to be at least. And we got footage of it. We got proof.
Okay, I will check out that YouTube channel. Can you do me a favor, if you're able to drop that link in the chat so I can pull it up and talk about that later?
I can't do it on my phone. That's all I got is the phone.
Okay, that's cool. I'll look into it. I appreciate it.
Somebody can.
All right, perfect. We got to go, man. We're out of time. Thank you for the phone call, James. James in Washington. Always great stuff. Have a fantastic night, brother. Thanks for listening. All right, so what we're doing tonight is we're talking about these Stargates. Is there something to this? Do you think it's a bunch of BS? What's going on in the world we live in? Is it as upside down as it looks and seems? Well, you tell me. If you want to be part of the conversation tonight, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We've got James on a deck when we come back from the break of Salcedo Paranormal, so don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds, Stargates, Portals, and you when we return. Be right back. We are talking about the alien abduction phenomenon.
The aliens are looking through your eyes and they're accessing your optic nerve. I'm doing fantastic. And through that optic nerve, they're transferring to your brain. People random images as they traverse neurons in the brain.
So all right, so maybe
and they also feel them planting or
broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. All right, this is a show where we get together 4 nights a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific. And what do? That's right, we talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. You know what they are. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. And of course, as always, we're taking your phone calls as we stream on DLive, Rockfin, YouTube, and Twitter. And we're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM if you want to be part of the show tonight. We are discussing Stargates. Rumors persist of the Iraq war being fought over a Stargate. And not only that, well, to couple the crazy idea there as we begin, a new paper came out today describing wormholes as possibly being stable. All right, well, put 2 and 2 together and suddenly the idea of a Stargate doesn't seem so ridiculous, does it? And that's what we're talking about tonight. So you go back to not just the Iraq War in recent times. There's been rumors of Stargates the world over in ancient times. And so that's really what's going on tonight. How likely do you think this is? And do you have any ideas regarding, where these Stargates may or may not be? There are stories. We'll get to some of these and read some of these as we go tonight. We talked about one in Peru. And, we're going to talk about the Iraqi Stargate, of course, supposedly brought in by the Anunnaki and left there in the Fertile Crescent of Iraq. And so they say that there was not one war, but 2 wars fought over this Stargate. So we'll get to that idea a little bit as we go tonight. But the whole premise is this. How crazy do you think this is? That's the nutty part, right? How crazy. Too much maybe juice on this one? That's okay if it is. But just consider, again, suspend your disbelief and consider what if this is true, and then think about what the implications may be. So if you want to be part of this conversation, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Let's go to our good friend James Salcido. James Salcido of Salcido Paranormal. Welcome to the show, my friend. How are you tonight?
I'm okay. Glad to be here.
Right on. Glad to have you. We're talking about more maybe juice stuff and, Stargate SG-1 and this whole, maybe the Stargate and the Iraq War and the rest of the stuff and ancient Stargates. What is your thought on this? Do you think this is way too far out there, or do you think there may be some basis in reality here?
It all comes down to energy and energy manipulation, I think, in one way or another. And so I think it's possible. I also agree that if we're hearing about it now, then it's probably something already pretty much figured out, whether it's being used or not. I don't know. It just seems like, as we always say, technology is 20, 30, 40 years ahead of what they say it is. And so it just makes me think that there must be something to this for them to even be mentioning it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, and then the scientific paper that comes out where they're describing how possibly instead using like a different mathematical model, these wormholes can be stable. And that's the craziest part here. That's the thing that made me go, okay, I guess we got to talk about Stargates tonight, because if we're talking mathematically now with what we know, and as you just described, DARPA's going to be years ahead of us anyway. But what about, like we talked about last night, like a breakaway civilization? And like Derek said, the Night Stalker last night, I know this is a quote from somebody else, but he said that think of it in terms of more Stargate and less Star Trek. And so if that's the case here with maybe a breakaway civilization in these Stargates, I don't know, man. Yeah, it seems that this is pretty nuts, isn't it? This just the implication would be pretty damn big.
Well, what I wonder, and I've been wondering lately about this with any kind of portals and all that, what could that possibly do to a person's body and mind? How would that affect them when they're in the portal and or when they get through the portal?
Yeah.
And what if that's kind of ties back to last night's show? What if these civilizations are advanced, but it's more because they've gone through some kind of portals and it either changed them at the time, or if these portals led to other dimensions or other times, then that could have changed them. I just feel like there's not been a lot of talk, as far as I've seen anyway, about what these portals, any kind of portals, could do to people.
Yeah, interesting take there, because if you think in terms of Star Trek, right? So the transporter room kind of would be a portable portal, wouldn't it? But what happens in that fiction, in this Star Trek universe, is the person that stands on the little pad, they get vaporized and then rebuilt somewhere else on a molecular level. So it is an interesting thing to consider that maybe if you step into a Stargate of such, or this type of portal that we're talking about, this Einstein-Rosen bridge, this sort of thing, that, well, maybe it does that to you. Maybe it reassembles you on the other end on some sort of atomic level like that. That's pretty wild, man. I love the idea.
And as also just going back to Star Trek, think of all the times the transporters have either been affected or malfunctioned and caused some actual physical changes in the people using them.
Yeah, and again, a pretty nice plot device, right? Some sort of a malfunction in the transporter room, and Captain Kirk just disappeared. What are we going to do? Right? Yeah, meaning all kinds of things, right? Meaning, so what happens when you get vaporized, but not some technical thing can't build you right back immediately? Where do you go? There's a lot here, right? A lot to think about, a lot to consider. What do you think about the ancient, that idea of the ancients being able to use stargates as some sort of maybe ritual opening with some sort of maybe device key, that sort of thing, like we talked about this one, the Gate of the Gods in Hayamarca, Peru? You think there's something to that, or you think that's just a step too far here?
I always have a hard time thinking anything is a step too far, but maybe that's just me. But I almost wonder too, and that's because it's kind of along the same idea. But that story you mentioned in Peru, they even say in that story that people that would pass through these portals would become basically gods in one way or another, or their gods or whatever. I forget what it was exactly, but if you think about that, if you go take that further and further back, maybe that's where some of the ancient stories and ancient figures in mythology and other places, maybe that's where they come from. Maybe that's how they became what they were.
Yeah, like you would expect, like in, let's say, go to ancient Greece, right, and Roman. They called it Mount Olympus, right? And so it wasn't a physical place that you could just climb up the mountain. It was sort of in another realm. And if that was the case, right, where do the gods live, just like you described? Well, maybe this is exactly what we're talking about. There is a portal to where the gods reside, and it has nothing to do with this dimension at all. Maybe Mount Olympus and some of these other places, Valhalla or what have you, are maybe through these portals. Maybe these gateways are built into this world for maybe the deities of old, man. Yeah, I dig it. I dig the idea. Pretty wild stuff, huh?
Very interesting. And I like how it ties into yesterday. I was even thinking of calling yesterday about that, just the whole idea of what portals of some kind could do to the body and everything, and I never got around to it, and there were so many other great calls. But then today, it kind of worked out better in a way, because this came up.
Right.
So-
Isn't it strange how it just pops up in the news feed? I'm like, wow, wormholes are stable now. This is sweet. Let's do this tonight. Yeah, man. There you go. You kept that one in your back pocket. Came in super handy tonight. So what else you got? Any other ideas on this stuff here? Like I said, nothing's too a step too far as you described, because, well, you got that kind of open mind. But anything else here regarding portals, stargates, or any of the rest of that? How about, do you think there's one here on Earth, like the show SG-1? You think maybe the governments of the world are hiding one or more of them here on Earth right now?
I think if there's one, there have to be multiple on Earth. I feel like if there was just one, then there would be civilizations, whether in the past or present, just totally gathering around it and just using it. It would be there'd be constant activity, whether it be wars or development of the area around it. Or I feel like there has to be more than one, just for that reason alone. So yeah, I think it's possible. I mean, there are places that are supposedly portals that have, like you said, either indentations in rocks that are shaped like doors, or, all kinds of things like that all over the world. There are all kinds of portals that don't look like necessarily like you might think in a literal sense, but maybe they are in one way or another a portal somewhere.
Exactly. So we got more of those we'll talk about tonight, but maybe I'm gonna drink some maybe juice with you and say yeah maybe right. Again, and like I said when we started, how would you even know what a portal like this looked like if you didn't know how to turn it on? It would kind of look almost like many other things, wouldn't it? Like like you said, like a maybe a sort of a door cut into a wall that goes nowhere because, well, you can't turn it on, so there's no gate itself. So interesting thoughts here.
Yeah, or caves. Going back to caves again. Or, I mean, just underwater, places that look like they're doorways, but they're underwater. Who knows? All kinds of areas.
Yeah, who knows? All right, great stuff as always, James. So James here of Salcedo Paranormal, he's got a podcast where he talks about the paranormal 5 days a week. Go check him out. You can find him at salcedoparanormal.podbean.com, or link is in the description. James, you're the best. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. Thanks for calling in tonight, my man.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Thank you very much. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna say flat fellow. Nah. Okay, so let's keep on trucking here. We're talking about stargates, portals, wormholes, and again, so a paper came out today where they describe maybe being able to keep a portal open, right? Keeping this wormhole stable using a different mathematical model than Einstein suggested. And so, what do you think? If you want to be part of the show tonight, do you think this is a real thing? Do you think there's stargates on Earth? Do you think there's stargates from ancient times? What does all this mean? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Let's go to Jennifer in Missouri. Jennifer, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hello, Mike. How are you doing?
Doing very well. What do you think about stargates?
Yeah, so we've talked about this before, but not quite like this. Not with not throwing in the wormhole aspect, which I don't know why, but like that, never suddenly putting that on it kind of changes the whole game on it, and it makes you think of so many things. And I was thinking that, okay, so if you think about our experience of existence, kind of like what James was just saying, what if we are, so I'm going to go all the way with this and say that there are wormholes everywhere. For example, as we're existing here, like each of us individually, what if our experience of even birth and death is a form of a wormhole? What if, too, our own consciousness and everything that we experience, what if we're actually not moving anywhere through space? What if we're kind of just hanging in space and all the things we experience and everywhere, we're not actually going anywhere? Like, we're actually not doing anything, but the experiences and all of that are coming at us, and we experience it almost like a wormhole type of thing. Like even if you think about, well, they talked about how atoms are, which, matter, all material and matter in the universe are like 99.9% empty space. That means that 0.01% is is like the reality of what we're kind of experiencing. So it's this very tiny minute thing going on where it seems like where it's not empty space. And perhaps all that other space, so that means the human body too is 99.9% empty space. So what if in that is where Einstein's unified theory comes in, and perhaps that's where space and time and all the forces of nature, or natural laws, are interacting, and we're being pulled, like we're pulling through. Perhaps we are and maybe with these locations, if consciousness is where this wormhole effect is occurring, where reality is coming through us in a way, or as we're experiencing it through sentience, through being sentient, we experience a sense of existing. And what if these places that have been described as being stargates and portals, due to the focus of consciousness of a lot of mankind, people going there and focusing on it, these sacred sites for thousands of years, and these sacred monuments and everything, what if they are stargates and wormholes and portals because of the focus of the human consciousness, the sentient consciousness on it, and it creates a type of portal, and on the other side of that, it's like you can either by conscious observation or lack of it, experience it, and that's where you have a lot of these mystical experiences people describe. And perhaps all of the things people describe are actually an effect of a sort of wormhole in itself. And what if death is almost like a black hole of sorts, which can, in some cases, I suppose, doesn't that create perhaps creates a wormhole? And that's also, one of the instances where you would be moving through another black hole to another dimension, but of course you'd be going with your consciousness. But I don't know, you can go, this is something you could go, if we want to believe that there are wormholes, and I do, then I think that, why not? Why not go all the way with it and just say that all of existence and experience of reality is through the quantum physics of wormhole and unified theory, and it's actually the complete, that's the experience of existence and reality, and we can't tell because we're sentient and separate from it, just observing it. But because there's nothing you can't tell anything if you don't have all your senses, by design. So if we're just hovering, like the holographic hologram idea, but if we're just hovering in the space and stuff, and everything's cut, you see what maybe.
Maybe.
You
Some
never
maybe
know.
juice. Some maybe juice.
But
Yeah.
what if we are all wormholes? Not just wormholes, but several of them are experiencing it through our senses. What if the sense of touch is a type of wormhole? What if that explains what if it kind of Einstein was rolling with it. We might as well.
Yeah, definitely. And so notably, the thing you're talking about that resonates with me is, don't forget, the CIA had their remote viewing program, and they called it Stargate Project. So almost like you're describing here.
Right.
So the Stargates themselves may not be physical things whatsoever. It's built into our brains somehow. It's built into our consciousness, existence, reality. Yeah,
Well,
yeah. Interesting that I always thought that was a curious parallel there. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, just maybe electrons. Maybe if you have what is it? Something like, I can't remember what it's called, a massless particle. If you have that, and what that has to, it's something to do with electromagnetic, it's entanglement and stuff like that. But maybe something to do with if the brain is, never mind. What I was going to think, with the electrons and everything, maybe, entanglements, I don't know, get into that.
The Higgs field.
Heavy.
The Higgs
but yeah,
boson.
You never know.
So the Higgs boson, I think, is what you're talking about. When it crosses through what they call the Higgs field, the massless thing gains mass and becomes matter. So it's energy first, and it crosses through and becomes matter. Yeah. Pretty sure that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Okay, well, that's...
So that would be your that would be your Stargate then, right?
Maybe. Yes. Yes, and if everyone, I mean, when you're talking about these kind of topics, we're so in the mundane because we're sentient and we're just taking it all in, and that's just kind of what we're designed to do. But when people talk about this, these states of existence and what is the nature of reality, and if you tie in Wormhole and the Stargate thing and what they kind of are and how it's one, a wormhole passage, what if, because we are moving through eternity and infinity, because we're a part of this and we're experiencing it. But if that's a type of, that's a wormhole in essence, I kind of think. And so maybe something like that could be going on. It's it's fun to think about for sure.
Absolutely.
And because we'll never know, but
I don't know about never. You think never?
I don't know. They're getting close. They're getting close to trying to, and if these locations, if these locations have been kind of, if they have created a type of portal, it's because of the focus of consciousness of human beings or other beings. Like maybe even minds could create a wormhole between each other even, which might be what mind reading, that could even be tied into that, explain that. And you could even have communication with another entity in another dimension if the mind could also create, if there's if the whole experience is being experienced through a sort of the events flowing through you rather than you going through it,
Right. So in the reverse.
Like that.
In the reverse. I love it. I love it. Fantastic stuff as always, Jen. We're out of time. You're the best. Always blowing up brains here. Appreciate your takes. Everybody, Jennifer has a YouTube channel. Please scroll down, link in the description. Give Jennifer a follow. Jennifer, thanks for listening. Thanks for calling. You were amazing as always. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Have a great night.
Thanks a lot. Bye. You too. There you go. Scroll down. Give Jennifer some love. James Salcedo as well. And, of course, everybody else. Links in the description. Come say hi. Come meet all these fine folks and check out their YouTube channels. All right, so we're talking about, Stargates. What does it mean? Is this real, or is it a step too far, Michael Strange? Back off the edge. Looking for your thoughts? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. More after the break. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we're streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And tonight, we're talking about Stargates, because a new scientific paper came out just today describing a new mathematical model that could actually make a wormhole stable. All right, well, what does that mean? I think it means a lot. The implications here are pretty fantastic and gigantic, and I thought, what better time to do a show on Stargates? And so that's what's on my mind tonight. Do you think this is a step too far, a little too much maybe juice, or do you think this is worth thinking about and worth talking about? Love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And let's go. Let's go to our good friend Daryl. Daryl in New York. Daryl, are you there? Test 1, 2. Do you copy? Test, test. Daryl, are you there?
I'm here.
Welcome to the show. How are you, Daryl? How are you feeling tonight?
Oh, good. Thank you for asking. I'm feeling a little better. Every day it gets a little better, you know?
Right on. Every day a little better. Glad
I wish
to
I
hear
had
it.
some alien. I wish I had some aliens that would come and give me some kind of rapid healing technology, but not my time, I guess.
Yeah, hang in there.
You know?
Maybe it'll happen. Hang in there. You never know.
You never know.
You never know.
Concentrate.
You never
I want
know.
to summon some of those.
There you go.
But anyway, I was on one of these shows. I was listening to one of these shows that had a portal, wormhole kind of expert talking about them. And I had posed a question, are portals portable? And they said, absolutely, they're portable. They can be relocated, they could be moved, etc. And they were also discussing, like, I don't know if you've ever heard anyone talk about, somebody got, in the morning, presses a portal, like an elevator, and they go to work on, like, the dark side of the moon, and they come back at night and they're back at home. And it's just like getting into an elevator. The technology is that simple. Well, I don't know how simple it is, but it feels like you're getting into an elevator. Or they go to Mars, for their job. And they've been working on Mars for 20 years. But they get home and nobody misses them, Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah, like that whole maybe time travel's built into portals, right? Like that sort of thing. Like you kind of. Yeah. I've heard the theory. I'm not sure I heard the exact show you were talking about where they described that stuff. And so meaning if they are portable though, so what does that mean? Does that mean that, like Jennifer was describing, like it's built into us somehow, or is it something else, like an actual device?
I'm not sure how I feel about it, because I've seen two of them literally manifest in front of my eyes. Once was live, and once was on a video I had left running in my own apartment, facing this entertainment center that I always saw activity in. And I saw really vivid things inside that entertainment center. I'm not sure if it was the mold that was creating shapes or the Morgellons fibers that were creating some intelligence. There was something intelligent in my entertainment center. I wound up throwing it away. It scared me so much. But I decided to leave my camera on it. I might have mentioned this once on one of your shows. And literally this portal opened up inside the entertainment center, and it looked like a toaster oven size. And it opened up into a way station that had miniature people coming in and out of it, like they were arriving or departing. It looked like a terminal at an airport. And literally it just appeared, and then it disappeared. And it took everything with it. And this was videotaped in my entertainment center while I was gone for an hour. Now, the other time I saw something was while I was watching Times Square live, watching an Earth camera, that is always broadcasting live webcams of, sites across Manhattan. And I literally saw this bridge created between 7th Avenue, between 42nd Street, let's say, and it's between 7th Avenue and the equivalent of Broadway, but it's really 7th Avenue. And this bridge just appeared. And as soon as that bridge appeared, there was a line of people waiting to cross that land bridge. You know what I'm talking about? It was maybe on the 7th floor of the buildings that just suddenly created itself. And there was literally a line of people waiting to get onto that bridge to get somewhere. I don't know where it was leading to, but it was obviously going somewhere else. I'm not sure where. But I just watched this before my eyes, and literally it also disappeared as soon as it disappeared. Now, I'm sure you're all thinking she must be on something. And I don't believe I was. And even if I was, I'd still stick to that story. But I'm pretty sure I was stone sober. Both times. I was taking all these visions very seriously and wouldn't really be able to talk about it if I haven't made some sort of video, documentary of them. And I have thousands of these videos. I just have to find them. But I have so much evidence that what I'm saying is the truth. So take it for what you will. I'm not making it up. But I can't explain it.
So what's the theory? Interesting, the first one there where you were able to kind of see, there was a kind of a, I don't know, like an interstellar airport or something? Like maybe that did use these sorts of things. People traveling, coming and going. Were they like they were using these portals to get places? Right. That's pretty wild.
Absolutely, it was like a terminal. It was like a bus terminal or an airport terminal, and they were coming and going like through customs or whatever. It was very bustling, but they were all miniature. And the things I saw in that entertainment center, all I put was a bowl of damp rid. Damp rid is something that collects mold and mildew out of the air, and the mold will collect. But the mold is never going to die. It's very hard to kill mold. And mold has such very fascinating aspects to it. Mold can morph and shapeshift. If you ever can watch mold in any kind of circumstances, you'll understand what I'm talking about. And if you add a little intelligence to it, which I'm sure anyone can, because they found intelligence in the, in the Maxine rhymes with. I mean, they have things that they found things that are totally synthetic, that can morph and that can self-replicate. It's crazy the stuff that they can make synthetically that can mimic mold, or they use mold to make other things that can, grow. I mean, it's unbelievable what you could do with a little science and a little nature. Or, God only knows what mold is. Who needs mold? I'm not sure, but mold can survive even in outer space. So, what mold can do with a little intelligence is kind of shocking. And I think Morgellons kind of proved that. Anybody that suffers through Morgellons probably had some very supernatural type of experiences like I've had, or paranormal, that are probably not that paranormal, that are probably scientifically explained, through science, I would think.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Matt,
it's crazy.
It's amazing for sure. Matt in the chat. This is too good. I have to tell you this. He says the Grand Central Wormhole. I love these. but that's wild. So, and I know you've described some other things you've seen some of the other experiences you've had. You've described to us over the the months that you've been calling into the show. So what is your theory about the wormhole thing? Do you think this technology actually exists? And if so, is it like Jennifer maybe described it, we are the wormholes, and it's the opposite? Or do you think it's something else? Do you think there's maybe a technology sort of in the idea of the Grand Central Wormhole, where it is like the bustling terminal of people just maybe traveling through this wormhole sort of hub?
I wonder, I think the way I saw it was so independent of myself. I didn't have anything to do with it. I think maybe the people that are involved in it have something to do with it, or it's a collective consciousness that can create it, which is possible. I think the collective consciousness can do a lot. You know what Margaret Mead said, but we won't go there, right?
We'll save that for later. We can't pull it out too often. It makes us sound crazy.
No, I know.
but okay, so
I think it's possible that it's a little combination of the willingness of quite a few people to create something. It might take a massive amount of people to create one, or it might not take. It might be something so mathematical and simple. If you just said they made up a mathematical program. I mean, I think everything is sacred geometry when it comes down to it in this universe, and just manipulating it and understanding physics. A great understanding of physics can, really accomplish amazing things. The fellow that made that coral castle in Florida, that could move mountains by himself when nobody was looking. He knew physics so well, he just never shared it with anybody. But he understood physics, so why can't we all get that kind of knowledge? Why is it limited to very few people? I don't know, some people are blessed with some knowledge that can, apply it. And how come most of us can't?
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty wild stuff there. Think of it this way: like if it was some sort of terminal, like some sort of hub, where they were like, I'm transfixed on this idea now, because think of it this way: they would have to be able to have some device, very much like Stargate SG-1. I don't know if you've seen that series, but they have like a device where they dial in particular coordinates, right? And they are like sacred geometry or symbols or glyphs, right? And they type these things in, and at the certain sequence. If you do, it takes you to a particular point. So I wonder if that situation that you witnessed, maybe you got a butt dial and they dialed the wrong place, and they were like, oh, it's like the cosmic butt dial.
Oh no, wrong station. Sorry. Don't get off. Don't get off. Don't get off. Nobody off.
Exactly. Don't get off.
That's right. Oh dear. Oh dear. Next stop is Willoughby. Next stop is Willoughby.
Right.
You know, that Twilight Zone, right?
Exactly.
And he gets off in paradise.
Yep.
But you know what I was thinking? The difference between like a wormhole or a portal or teleporting. And I think I would go more along the lines of a wormhole or a portal over the teleportation of, you being restructured molecularly. I find that hard to fathom that you could, somehow be transported molecularly, atom by atom, to somewhere else without like losing something in the transition.
Yeah,
without fear of losing. You know what I'm saying? Like a teleportation device where they would beam you up, let's say, rather than going through a wormhole, which would be some sort of an elevator mechanism or some kind of shortcut.
Right.
Bending space, a bending of space somehow makes more sense to me than bending your own molecular structure.
Gotcha. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be the first to volunteer to get vaporized. Even if they promise me I'll come back just fine, I'll be like, nah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'll wait. I'll wait. You first.
You don't know what you don't know what you're going to get. It's like you and the Fly, you and Jeff Goldblum. You know what I mean?
Yep. Exactly right. Exactly right. All right, Daryl, I got to tell this quick story about the Iraqi Stargate before we finish the show up. So, what else? Final thought here. Appreciate you calling. I'm glad you're feeling better day by day. What do you think?
I just love the subject.
Wormhole stable. All right. Well, what does that mean? I think it means a lot. The implications here are pretty.
Damn, I sound good. Damn, I sound good.
You sure do. I guess that was my fault. No, just keep it up. I just love the subject. I think it's a great topic, and I think everybody's called in such very interesting ideas. I just love this. I just love it here. That's all. I love the great minds that are calling in, and I love you. And thank you again, everybody, for all your good wishes.
Glad you're feeling better. Take it day by day. Get your rest. Take care of yourself, because remember the rule. You got if you're to take care of other people, you got to take care of yourself. All right.
That's right.
There you go. Thanks, Daryl. Have a fantastic night. Thank you so much for calling. You're welcome to stay right there. Just please mute your mic, and you can listen from right there.
Got it. You got it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we're still taking your phone calls. Thank you again. That's Daryl in New York. And as always, right, amazing calls from everybody. And so what's happening here? What is going on with the world we live in? And is this Stargate stuff real? These wormholes, these portals, whatever the heck it actually is. Do you think this is fake? Do you think this is maybe a figment of the imagination? Do you think that maybe all these other things could or could not be? And that's what we're here to do, to kind of try and open our mind up and consider all the possibilities. And so let's go to this story, right? We're still taking your phone calls, by the way, at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. But let's check this one out. This story goes a little something like this, all right? This is the one that kind of got me thinking in terms of what this is right now. Joseph, I see you trying to call, but you've dropped 10 calls now. So I'm not sure you got a stable connection there. Maybe the wormhole dial, the butt dial, is on the other end. So I don't know what's going on, but if you can't ring in, fix something there, because it's literally 10 calls now or something like that, and literally you come in for 8 seconds and drop. So I do see you there, but we have some kind of a connection thing not happening. Just FYI. Okay, so we got this. Look, the Iraqi Stargate conspiracy. All right, and this is the way this goes. We're going to do this just real fast because we're running out of time here, but I want to add this to the conversation because this is one of those wild ideas that people have described, right? Kind of like the Kandahar Giant and things like this, right? Did these things happen? Where did the story come from? Was it manufactured as some sort of disinformation campaign? Who the hell knows, right? Like, who really knows? But here we go. According to the claims, the discovery of an ancient Stargate in Iraq in the 1920s would send discrete ripples around the world. Over the next decade, many world governments became aware of the discovery. Eager to obtain the technology for themselves, many of them descended upon the area through military units in search of it. Some even point to the Anglo-Iraqi War of 1941 as simply a front between British governments and those of Germany and Italy, who had sided with the Iraqi nationalists. This, of course, in reality is, was in order to gain control of the Stargate, at least according to the theory. And it's he adds, just to note here, there's no solid proof of these claims, no government documents, anything like this. So it's difficult to corroborate, of course, and so this remains in theory land. But we knew that because, well, that's maybe Juice style, and that's cool. That's what we do here. So here we go. So just to note, there is we read that. All right. Okay, so by the time of the Iraq War in 2003, which we will look at shortly, the Stargate lay hidden deep beneath the palaces of Saddam Hussein. Following the taking of Baghdad, the area around the palace and the inner city would sit inside a green zone. This is a diplomatic area where government employees live and work. The whole zone is under extreme guard. Many remain suspicious of this. Perhaps one of the stranger theories concerning the Stargate is that of truth hiding in fiction, the fairy tale theory. Some researchers state the fact that forbidden knowledge hides in fairy tales and myths in order to pass on truth. In modern times, some argue that these messages are passed on in movies and to a lesser extent television shows, which we've talked about, some of that stuff, some of the Illuminati symbolism and whatnot. So here we go. So basically, the reasoning for the Gulf War in January 1991 was scrutinized by many, not least the testimony of Naira al-Sabah, the 15-year-old girl who claimed to have seen Iraqi soldiers killing infants. Remember that? Picking babies up out of the incubators. Remember this whole story? Which seemed to be a flat-out lie, right? It was a reason to go in, but the children, and kick the doors in and invade Iraq, right? And some people have described this as, being after oil or after whatever, right? To just depose the guy that, they backed forever, which is Saddam Hussein, and then suddenly they didn't like him there anymore. They wanted him replaced, right? So there's a lot of theories here, and this is the type of stuff that spawns conspiracies, right? When you get these things happen where this is literally like a false flag sort of situation, in the sense that this girl is describing an event that did not happen, at least as far as we can tell. And so, but it was used as a premise to invade another country. And this is why people don't trust the damn government, right? Like, come on. Like, this is ridiculous. And so, well, if this is where a Stargate conspiracy idea comes from, then so be it, They shouldn't have done this. The whole thing was broke, and, remember the weapons of mass destruction that turned out that they were there, they weren't, or maybe they put those through the wormhole, the Stargate, right? That's what happened, right? Yeah, that's it. When we went to get the weapons of mass destruction, they just put them through the Stargate. Yeah, they're on Alpha Centauri right now. Anyway, many who believe the reason for the wars was not just regime change point to George Bush Sr. and his past role in the CIA. By the way, George Bush Sr. has been linked to the Kennedy assassination as well. Not saying he actually had a hand in it, but he was definitely in the CIA at the time when this went down. So, right, if you're going to have one of the guys who's probably like in the middle of the tons of conspiracies, George Bush Sr. would be that guy. So many, let's see, blah, 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 blah. So the Iraq War of 2003 and the events leading up to it, stretching at least to the 9/11 attacks in 2001, are all wrapped in conspiracy, which we knew. And indeed, in a matter of days, the country would be under U.S. control. The U.S. military would oversee the installation of, quote, democracy for the Iraqi people. It also, many argue, gave the U.S. intelligence agencies undisturbed and unblocked access to whichever part of the country they wanted. Well, but here's where it gets crazy. As the invasion of Iraq progressed, so did the disorder. Looting would become rampant, in particular at museums and government buildings containing ancient and priceless relics. Many witnesses, however, would speak of special military units carrying out much of the looting, even of loading entire vaults worth of relics onto heavy-duty trucks. Literally, thousands of items disappeared. And so there you go. There's the basis for this idea that the Iraqi war was not over oil or not over regime change or any of the rest of this, but it was actually over a Stargate. And so you tell me, like I said, as always, I don't know. I can't vouch for any of this stuff. This is the Maybe Jew show, and we consider all the things as being possible. But this story came from somewhere, right? Do you think this is more disinformation, kind of like the babies in the incubators, right? That sort of thing, the weapons of mass destruction. Like I said, I'm not here to rehash all that stuff and turn this into a political show because, well, whatever, right? They've done that for years and years and years, and they hope we forget, right? They hope we forget these things. But in the bottom line is this. What do you believe? It all comes down to what you believe, right? And if you're making up stories to go to war, then when a conspiracy spawns, whose fault is it, right? Even if it's way out there, even if it's a Stargate, right? Whose fault is this? Really, whose fault is this? You know the answer. I don't even have to tell you. It's the most obvious answer ever. And guess what? It's the people that made up the conspiracy in the first place to go to war. That's whose fault it is. Come on. So anyway, you tell me. How does this work? Is this real? And as always, right, we try and consider all the things. I like to call it drinking the maybe juice, considering if it's possible, all right? And is it possible that, well, the Iraqi war was actually fought over a Stargate that was buried in Iraq and, of course, under, well, Babylon. Oh, Babylon, right? So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I think this is the weirdness of all this and why things, like I always say, why it seems like we live in the upside down. It's because you never know. You never know. And so, of course, if science is saying today, through this brand new paper, that maybe mathematically you could keep a wormhole open and stable, well, then it puts the idea of a Stargate right in the realm of possibility. And so, with that, we're done. So the way this works is, if you're listening to us on The Fringe FM, stay tuned for Joe Roop Lighting the Void. If you're listening to us on any other platform, including the podcast feed, stay tuned for a third hour of Troubled Minds. And don't keep dreaming. Don't keep considering things that may seem too large to be true, because you never know. You never know. I think the things that they try and tell us on a DARPA-like basis, that it doesn't exist, I think a lot of those things probably do. Am I willing to say Stargates? I don't know. But I'm willing to consider the possibility. And so, as we finish, Troubled Minds is done for the week. We'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific for the news show on Twitch, Troubled Minds News, and, well, we're done. So, as we finish, you know how it goes. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night. Officially off the Fringe FM, and we're going to keep on trucking. If you guys are interested in this and want to talk about Stargates and all the rest of this, tell me. Love to hear your thought on this. Had some pretty amazing takes so far. What about this Iraqi war thing? Do you think this is plausible, likely, way too far out there? Looking to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And we're talking about Stargates. That's right, Stargates. So we're going to take a quick 2-minute break. Click the Discord link at troubleminds.org. Phone number's there as well. And let's do it. Let's talk about Stargates and the Iraqi war and all kinds of crazy stuff. So don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds and you when we return. Be right back. 2-minute break. 2-minute break. right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we're still kicking it, just talking on a Thursday night about, normal stuff, normal Troubled Mind stuff. And tonight is Stargates, because why the hell not, right? Just another normal night on Troubled Minds, talking about Stargates and their possibility. And if this technology does exist, what does it mean for not just us? What does it mean for the galaxy and the universe at large? So I think you have to think in terms, larger terms, all right? So, I think obviously, if you listen to this show, the things we talk about and consider are pretty out there sometimes, all right? But you got to think of people, right? People, all right? Let's just think in terms of people on Earth, all right? So is it likely that we're probably the smartest thing the universe has going? I mean, that seems absurd, doesn't it? Just that idea, just that very idea. And so clearly we're not. I would literally be shocked if somebody out there would be like, nah, come on, Mike. No matter what, we're the only thing out there, and that's that. It's a wrap, right? Maybe, but come on now. Like, the universe is a big-ass place. And so, it's been around for a very, very long time. And so it makes me wonder, even if we don't have Stargate technology, what if another species or alien race might have, all right? Might have in the past, maybe, who knows? Drinking some maybe juice here, trying to figure this stuff out, but I don't know. There's a lot here that kind of makes my mind tingle, which is perfect because that's what this show's about. It's about getting together and considering all the crazy things. So let's do it. Hang tight, Matt. I see you there. We'll go to Kelly, and then we'll go to you real quick, and then we'll keep on rolling. Kelly in Colorado. What's up, my friend? Are you there?
I'm here. How you doing there, Michael?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Happy Thursday to you. What do you think about this Stargate stuff, my man?
It's an interesting topic because, I don't know, we have what we call Stargates, portals, wormholes, black holes, right? So if we go... Now, for me, on thinking on those... I don't know, I guess you would say those type levels or those, just the words themselves, right? So we kind of know what a black hole is, right? Everything's being sucked into a singularity. Now, if they're talking black hole or wormholes can be opened up, stabilized, and then you can go through, what does that say for black holes then? It's kind of interesting. Because if you think of wormholes and black holes, it's like being pulled through a singularity. But the thing about it is the difference for me would be that black holes, since you're being sucked into, it's going to be ripping you, theoretically, it's going to rip you all the way down to your very essence, right? Down to your every cell, nucleus, everything. Now, if a wormhole would be the same, or vice versa, then what are they saying? You know what I mean? Can the wormhole, so each one of those are going to have what what do they call that? Where you can't see past it, right? On a black hole, it's
the event horizon.
Yes. So if you can't see past the event horizon, then is that what we're talking about? So if we're going to go back for me, I would say that it's called Stargates if you're going to have it in a certain spot. A Stargate, or what you would call a portal. Now, for me, the reason why I kind of go with that, and you guys earlier were talking about, the big giant gate that's over in Peru. For me, I would say these ancient places that would have pyramids with obelisks. And the reason why I'm going to say that is because pyramids I've known, just like the Great Pyramids, and this is where Nikola Tesla got his idea with the Tesla Tower, is that these things are power units. So if you're taking power units, these giant power units, these giant megalithic constructions that they had, right? It's drawing energy from the planet and it's creating a power unit. Now, the obelisks are like repeaters, kind of like what we have for sending cell phone towers and stuff. They're like repeaters, right? It sends it down the line. Now, to have a Stargate or a portal, you got to have some kind of energy, right? You got to have massive energy. So that's why I would believe you have to have something massive like the pyramids, like the pyramids in Mexico, the pyramids in China, the 3 pyramids in Egypt, or you have, and then, you're drawing this power because underneath the Great Pyramids, right, they've noticed that there was a water, like an aquifer, right, that was slamming from the bottom, was creating a repetitive, like it was hitting, where it looked like it was water was hitting the top of the roof from the cave underneath the pyramid, which is creating a rhythmic noise, which creates vibrations or that type of energy to send out. Now, that if you're pinpointing something like that, you would maybe open up a portal or what they would call a Stargate and walk through. But other places also too, you would have them in like Indonesia, India, Bolivia, and like those places would be like what we were talking. I was talking the other night when we were talking kind of like this was these gates, like the Sun Gate. The Temple of the Sun. Everything was of the sun, but down in Bolivia and Peru, they have the Gate of the Sun, or Tiwanaku down in Bolivia. You have these gates, the sun gates. So is it where they can use these gates, like the big giant one that was in Peru, like the big door you're talking about, or is it There's another thing I just want to show you was in Discord I sent some pictures of what they're made out of stone, but all these things one was found in China, and they're circular and they look like big cogs, like a big cogwheel, right? There's some that were found in China, some in Cairo, Egypt, were these cogs. And, these different shaped tools where they have no idea. But if you was to spin these things, they would create some kind of a frequency of sound or something.
Yeah, so it's connected then somehow. So okay, but you were talking about the energy. Where does the energy come from to make these things happen? Is it some sort of sound, like a vibrational state? Is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah, okay, so Tesla, for the energy on like the Tesla Tower, right? When he built the one here in Colorado, down in Colorado Springs, he had like an aquifer that was underneath it as well. So what it is it's like I would say it's a vibrational way, right? And they force this water inside there, and if it's hitting on the bottom, it's creating a rhythmic, I would say like a vibration, right, throughout the pyramid. But it's actually also using where these pyramids are placed on the planet, right? Everybody knows that, that it's, all these lines that connect and stuff like that. So if you have an energy field where you're using the power from the planet itself, because you're going to have something that massive to create, unless you're going to, unless you have technology where you have like a machine. But if you don't have the machine here, like if they left it on, like say, the Anunnaki, they left it on their home planet, but they need to make something on the planet Earth. And they needed to make it in a way, and they built these things where everything inside there too, like the Queen's Chamber, the King's Chamber, everything is acoustic. And that's not only in Egypt, you'll find that in all the pyramids that all these ones are built. They're all acoustic, and you're going to use a vibration. And, energy, vibration, frequency, they all kind of go in together. You pull in energy, creating a vibration, which creates frequency, or vice versa, the frequency creates energy, right? So if you're having that on a massive planetary scale, I would say you would have your power unit that you need. And so to go back to the point too, also, in the Sumerian writings again, that, we were talking about like the, Babylon, or not Babylon, but in Mesopotamia, which was Babylon, yes. But when they were creating it was Marduk. He was trying to create a gate, right? That's what it was saying from heaven to earth. And again, earth was, the planet Earth, the key. And then earth, or heaven was, their home planet, which was Nibiru. So he was trying to open up gates. They already had gates, but they only needed or they only wanted, like, ones they can control. If they was to give one to Marduk or let him have it, then that means he would be able to come and go as he please wherever he wants to go, and they couldn't have that.
Okay, so even back then, we're talking about the Anunnaki and that story that goes back, approximately 750 million years. That story of the Sumerian tablets translated by Zechariah Sitchin. So that even in that story, they were battling over these stargates. Like, they were actually fighting over who could control this technology, even way back when.
Yeah, I mean, because what they were talking about was, because they had what they called, I can't remember the exact word, but it almost sounds like a gate, right? But they were saying that they could only, because they could only use it on a certain distance, from what I was gathering. Because if Nibiru was close to the planet, then they would just launch rockets and stuff like that. But if it was closer, they would launch rockets and send all the gold to there. But if it's in a distance, not too far distance, but they needed a gate to go back and forth where because if you were thinking like, well, we were using rockets now, okay, now we're talking millennia back then. Now their technology, of course, would be highly advanced now, more than what they were then. So if they was to create or needed something like that, right, they only wanted ones that they could control, and which was Enki and Enlil, the two older brothers, but also their sister Aninma, which was over in the Indus Valley, which would be like, through Pakistan and then all the way down into India. You kind of listen to, like, that's why I kind of wonder where, like, if you go into biblical stuff, you know what I mean, when they're talking about the Ark of the Covenant, right? That was a big giant power unit. You know what I mean? Because even from there, they said that they could, there was kind of a machine that kind of sounds like that they're describing, that created mana, that, these people, it could fed these people for like what they were rolling in the desert for 40 years. And, they were eating this mana. But that thing also could have been a portable jump gate or a Stargate or some kind that they were walking around with. That a power unit, something like that, it could be almost, you could almost do anything with it, really. Create some kind of a food. If you listen to these biblical stories, you're almost listening to high technology. You know what I mean? But they don't know what it is. If they didn't know what it was godly or something that was, or if they, that scared them, obviously it was evil or something like that. That's how I take it when I read these, the ancient texts like that.
Yeah,
because
just real quick on the Ark of the Covenant, that's a pretty wild idea that maybe it was some sort of power source for a portal. And you think in terms of what it was, they carried around and said that it was actually allowed them to communicate directly with God. They even called like the two cherubim with the wings, they called that the mercy seat and said that's where God himself manifested and appeared to talk to Moses, right? And the high priests. And so if that's the case, like we're talking about this, very much like this story from the Gate of the Gods in Hayumarca, Peru, that they walk through this portal to the realm of the gods, right? And so I think that in the same thing you're just describing here, that maybe the Ark of the Covenant itself was a portal, or at least a power source that could be portable and used to open portals. That's a pretty wild idea, man. I love it.
Yeah, because if you think about it and you read and you listen to those stories, if you they said if you open it up, you die. The electricity would shoot out, killed everybody. Or people that they pulled it open, and one priest was. You hear different stories where they went blind because of the immense heat or light. That's some kind of a power unit. I wouldn't say nuclear, but it's some kind of something like that. Where if you was to touch it or even get close to it, or even, look at it, something like that, if it was that bright, that, yeah, it would,
it could kill you.
Yeah, it could kill you, and it did, too. It said it killed, many people, right?
Right.
Or even, like, walking around the walls of Jericho, how, they were blowing these horns, and, like, it amplified the horn noise, and which took down the walls.
Right, exactly. We got, just to let you know, so are you going to hang? Because we got Matt on the phone. He's been waiting about 15 minutes, so you're going to hang out with us?
Yeah, sure do.
Okay, don't go anywhere. We're going to get Matt on. We'll talk to him, and you're welcome to stay as long as you like. All right, so we're here with Kelly in Colorado. We're kicking it, talking about all kinds of amazing stuff and stargates, portals, and what does all this mean? Do you think this technology, maybe in ancient times, existed? Do you think it exists now? Do you think this is all just a bunch of bullshit? That's fine by me, right? We're in the third hour now, so go ahead and drop some F-bombs if you like. Not like we encourage it, but it's kind of like the fail-safe, the third hour, and so cursing like a sailor is acceptable. Let's go to our good buddy Matt in California. What's up, brother? Welcome to the show. You're on with Kelly and Mike. How are you?
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Pretty good. Thanks for being patient with us. What are your thoughts on portals?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. We talk about portals on here and black holes, and now we're talking about wormholes. And maybe our vocabulary is we're using like words we're putting things into labels. And it might all be the same thing. So I guess my question is, what's the difference between a portal and a wormhole?
Ooh, I think it's the same thing. So I think technically a wormhole itself is theoretically known as the Einstein-Rosen bridge, and what it is, it's like the piece of paper, right? If you take the piece of paper, do I have a piece of paper here? I do not. But you take the piece of paper and you fold it in on itself, right? You kind of wrap it around, and you're able to go from one point on the piece of paper to another point on the same piece of paper by wrapping it on itself, and there's your wormhole. It's like connecting 2 points in space-time that are nowhere near each other, but you've done enough energy to move that wormhole into that. That's the theoretical term of what this is. But you're right. I think that the things may be the same thing. Like we're in a spot where we're trying to figure this stuff out theoretically, not just as people here talking on a crazy talk show for some random Thursday night, but like the science is trying very difficult, going to great pains to figure this out. Because clearly, right, again, it changes everything, doesn't it? But you're right. I think, kind of like we talk about this with dimensional stuff, ghosts and whatnot. I think you're right. Maybe our terms are a little bit sloppy, and maybe these things are the same or similar, or who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, so one of my thoughts is kind of a silly thought. It's from a cartoon, kids cartoon movie called Finding Nemo. In that cartoon, there's a part where they're trying to travel to a different part of the ocean, and they find this current. It's like the east something current, and they jump on it. They jump in it, and it's like a freeway. It like takes them. They're like riding the current instead of like swimming there. They don't have to swim. They're just kind of floating, and the current pulls them like a freeway. And so, what if these wormholes out there in space? We think they're wormholes, but they're maybe like way out in space. There's like a current. And if we can steer our ship out to it and jump into it and just ride it like a freeway system to wherever we want to go. And what if there's people already out there like mapping that out like a freeway?
Yeah, interesting. Like it's meaning that the universe has this stuff built in, and so we need to be able to kind of catch the wave as it goes by, sort of thing, right?
Yeah, it's like let's just say it's like kind of like how birds do it too. They catch a current. They catch the current and they like float instead of flapping their wings.
Yeah, I dig it. And there's actually some scientific basis for the idea, in that they have these magnetic fields that have hidden portals here on Earth, which we've got a NASA study that goes back to July of 2012, which I've got up on the screen right now. But then also on top of that, they've just recently discovered that they have this huge magnetic field that seems to maybe be shaped like a portal or a wormhole or something that goes not just it envelops Earth, but then goes hundreds or even thousands of light years, kind of in a cone shape in both directions. So I would think, maybe you're right. Maybe you're onto something here. Maybe it's like catching the cosmic wave, man.
Yeah, and then last thought I had. This is kind of, we're going no rails right now. Going way out. Have you guys heard of this in high ceremonial magic? Like this is stuff Aleister Crowley was doing. In high ceremonial magic, there's this thing called in the Kabbalah. It's the Tree of Life. Have you heard of this?
I have, yes.
Maybe if you pull up a picture, So it's this. It's called the symbol. It's the tree of life. It's kind of looks like a diamond. I'm gonna try to explain it. It looks like a diamond, and there's these 10 spheres inside the diamond, and there's lines that connect each dot. And the thing of it is, this is the map. And so each dot, each circle, each sphere is a reality. Kind of like, and where I got this from was earlier we were talking about, you said something about like Mount Olympus, and then like Valhalla, and like there's, in Norse mythology, there's also 10 worlds, Midgard and all them. And so this is interesting because we just jumped, pantheons. We jumped from, Greek to Norse mythology to, this is Jewish mysticism, the Kabbalah. And that is, so all the spheres are one realm. And we're on the bottom realm. The very, very bottomest dot, the very bottomest circle is Earth, the kingdom. And that's where we are in our realm, in the physical realm. And then each dot is another realm. And then you see these lines that connect them, kind of like I said, like a freeway system. And those lines are the like the roads that you travel to get there. Like those would be the wormholes, you call them, that you travel to get there. And a lot of high magicians, like I said, Aleister Crowley, a lot of the high magicians, they were looking into this and trying to map, and that's how the map came from. They mapped it out. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I'm trying to find the right one to pull up. There's so many images here about the tree of life, but so I get the concept here. So meaning that this is it's the micro macro situation. It's like a symbol, but the symbol is a roadmap of the cosmos, and not just possibly the cosmos as we know it, into those other dimensions, into that string theory, as it were. Right? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, and then that would be the macroism. The microism would be if you were to meditate and then travel there in your mind, kind of like an astral projection, travel there through like a meditation, not physically.
Okay. Interesting.
I think that's how they were doing it.
I like it. And so you think that so what's your take then? Do you think that the Stargates are real? Do you think this is a real thing? And is it within, or is it some sort of physical thing where we actually step through some sort of portal and walk somewhere else?
Yeah, I mean, like these movies and stuff, they had to come from somewhere. I believe it might be a technology, or it might just be some sort of like a cosmic thing that happens. And if it does exist, there's no doubt that the higher up people are using it, for their advantage. They're using it. They're mapping out these like how to travel, and they're using it for themselves. They wouldn't tell us.
Yeah,
so, I believe in it.
Okay, cool. Fair enough. I appreciate it. Great stuff as always. What else you got for us, Matt?
That's gonna be all for tonight. But yeah, if look up that tree of life. It's the Kabbalistic tree of life.
Okay, will do. If you can help me put that in the chat, I'll put it up on the screen, because like I said, I found there's like 10,000 different versions of it. So find me the right one, pretty please. I'll put it up on the screen.
Okay.
Appreciate it, bro.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Matt in California. Great stuff as always. Have a fantastic evening. Thanks for calling. Thanks for being part of the show, Kelly. Hot take on that?
Yeah, man. Okay, when he was talking about that, it kind of reminds me of this this video I was watching about a physicist, and he was talking about how UFOs actually move. They're since they, with their power unit they have, how they move so freely through the air without being pulled down with gravity and any other type of thing that's working against it. Instead of like how most aircraft that we have has a thrust where it's pushing it, right? They're saying his theory was that these things are opening up like a small wormhole, and it's pulling them forward, and that's how these UFOs move around. Now, also the whole river thing, it reminds me of another physicist on YouTube. I was following him. He's an older man now. He's passed away. I can't remember his name now, which I'm not doing due diligence for that, but he was talking about, it's called a magnetic river, and it runs through the universe. Now, what's interesting is that you look at even the ancients, right? You know, with Vikings and Egyptians and stuff like that. When they put their dead in, they put them in a boat, right? They say they're going to take their boat, and where the boat goes is on a river, right? That you would have to travel down unless you're paddling, you know, on a flat, you know, surface like a lake or something. But that's interesting where they're talking, you know, that the whole river thing, because it is true. Just like an ocean, you would have you know, where you would jump on that, you know, that river or so. I guess what you would call it. I can't remember what it was from the story too. But yeah, you would that current, right? That current takes you whether it would be underwater, in the ocean, or even, you know, even in space. You would think, you know, space time where you know, you travel a boat. That's interesting that, you know, even the ancients used to also be buried in boats. You know, from China, Egypt, and, you know, the Vikings. That's interesting.
Yeah, pretty wild. And think in terms of like kind of passing over into the next realm, the river Styx, right? You have to cross on a boat through whatever it is, through the ether, through the veil, through the pretty wild stuff, right? That's that symbolism, and the back to the water, right? Back to that the water symbolism when we're talking about portals. Pretty nutty stuff. So yeah, great. So what else you got? We got a phone call here, but they just hang tight on the phone. We see you there. We're gonna get to Kelly. We got Rohan here waiting too. But yeah, go. What else you got, my friend? We interrupted you. You had a train of thought before we started here.
Oh no, I was just, you know, kind of like just trying to add, you know, some stuff to this, you know, because all we can do is speculate, you know, and we have to wait for like the science with the money and the machines to do all this. But for me, like the whole thing with the machine that, what is it called again? The particle accelerator.
CERN. Yep.
Yeah, CERN. Right. Okay. So if you're opening up something like that, maybe they already controlled that they were trying to do something like that. You know. You know, I've heard also too the story with over in Iraq with Saddam Hussein. But the interesting story, I was following that years ago when that was happening, you know, throughout the war. But what's interesting, because I was in the Navy, there was a guy who did a video, and he was pinpointing where the Stargate was at. And the reason why he said he knew where it was at is because it was being transported on a military ship. Now, what's weird is that when President Bush, the Jr., when we was in the war, to have to send a fleet. Okay, when we take an aircraft carrier, we got 2 destroyers and a cruiser and a submarine with us at all times. Sometimes 2 submarines. Right? It's your whole crew that you go down with. But he asked for 2 of them, and that's almost, it's like overboard to be putting that two aircraft carriers and their destroyers and shit inside the Persian Gulf, right? But when this man did his video, I'd have to look for it again, man. I don't know if YouTube still had it or if they took it away. That's why I record all this stuff or download it. But the video shows he has, like, from Google Earth, he pinpointed in an area down along right outside the Gulf, and it was hugging, I think, Oman. And right around there was a river system, a huge river system that went into Oman. But there was we had 15 Navy ships there, destroyers, in that whole little area. And it was surrounded. The ships were kind of surrounding this one port. And yet there was still 10 or 12 different destroyers that was sitting in there. And you know what? And the thing about it is, what's interesting is that I remember seeing, and we were doing we in the Navy, we called it, some war makeups and whatever. We practiced with other people, with Guam and other countries and shit. It's called Valiant Shield. But the thing about it is, man, I remember all those ships there. Shit, I even got fucking pictures of them. But why were they all of us, every one of us was there? And that's almost like that's redundancy. I don't know. It's just for me now. It brings back that memory. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And you were there. You saw some of this stuff actually going down. That's amazing, man. Amazing. All right, so we got a phone call. Let's take this, and then we'll get Rohan on after. Let's go to, I believe this is Jack in Oregon. Am I right?
Jack?
Yes. Is this Jack?
Yeah, that's me.
Jack in Oregon. Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
You're on with Mike and Kelly. How are you, my friend?
I'm great.
Right on.
Yeah, I like the topic. And you kind of had like a trail of topics over your last few shows, and you're like progressing. It's interesting.
Yes, I've been called many things,
right,
including interesting. Many worse things as well. Many worse things. but go right ahead. What's your? I'm glad you're enjoying it. What's your theory?
Anomalous portals.
What's your theory?
Einstein, Rosen bridges.
Right.
I'm sorry. What?
You're good. Go right ahead. I'll shut up. You talk.
Okay. Yeah. What I really wanted to say is that my most favorite movie of all time that deals with this more better than Stargate or anything else is John Carpenter's They Live. Hello?
Okay. John Carpenter's They Live. I hear you. I've never seen it.
Right, yeah. So when they do their little porthole thing, they walk up like they're at the airport, and they have their suitcase and everything. Boom, they're off. That seems pretty realistic to me.
Okay. So like Daryl was describing, so there is some sort of idea here. I'd never heard that idea. So there is some sort of like a hub where they bring their luggage and they just hop into a portal and boom. There's no travel. It's portal travel. It's not an airplane, right?
Yeah. There's more to it than that. However, personally, on a personal level, like philosophically, I'd have to more side with like Jennifer. Okay, with you creating your reality because your consciousness type of thing, right? That's how I feel.
Okay. Good stuff. What else you got, my friend?
However, I love that movie. That movie has the longest fight scene in movie history.
Okay, sweet. I'll have to check it out. What else you got for us? Anything else, my friend?
No. I've been just following you. I like what you're doing, and I'll tell all my friends about you.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Jack in Oregon, thank you for listening. Thank you for calling. I appreciate you sharing your ideas, my man.
Yep.
Have a great night. Thank you. There you go. Easy as that. 702-957-1037. Good stuff. I appreciate the compliments there. Like I said, it's not just me. Lots of amazing people call in and chime in and give us their ideas and thoughts here. We're here with Kelly in Colorado, and we're going to go to Rohan. So Kelly knows he's welcome to stay as long as he needs. And Rohan, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. You're on with Mike and Kelly. What's going on?
What's up, brother? How you doing? You okay?
Doing A-okay.
Hey, okay.
Feels like Friday. It's Friday somewhere.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. It is. I always get the days wrong, I was thinking, because it's just usually just gone past midnight, isn't it, when you start? But anyway.
All good.
Enjoying the show, Mike.
On the East Coast anyway. Some time travel business. You're a little bit quiet. I'm going to turn you up. You should be good now. All right. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this portal stuff? Do you think it's real? Like this whole Stargate business, that's SG-1. I know you're a big fan. Do you think that there's some maybe truth to this idea that the Iraq war was fought over as Stargate? Or do you think it's just a bunch of bullshit?
I don't think it was just a bunch of bullshit, because they did sweep the lands over and over again as if they was looking for somewhere and stole a bunch of antiquities which have never been returned. So there was that. I think there was something to that, because Saddam Hussein had just discovered the supposedly mythical, but then turned out to be true, city of Iraq. And that ties in with all that Anunnaki stuff and ties in with Africa and all kinds of crazy stuff. Do you know what I'm saying? So Iraq has had Gilgamesh was buried there, basically. So I think if that supposed mythical city with Gilgamesh buried there gets discovered, then I think someone's going to go on and get that, because you're going to want to check that DNA of that and bones out, because that guy was supposed to be really tall and is, a demigod. Do you know what I mean? So 1/3 god. So you're going to want to get your hands on that, aren't you? But I reckon he did have some kind of Stargate stuff. I think these things do work and do happen. But there's two threads on it, I think, as well. I think this is like a 2-tier thing. I think I mentioned this in a previous show, actually. That there's the physical nuts and bolts level of doing stuff, like making things like circuit boards and stuff, and the mental stuff. So I thought I've got 2 tiers to work with here, Mike, if that's all right.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so Jennifer made a point. When I was listening to Jennifer, at first I thought she was starting to describe standing waveforms, but then you caught the train of thought, and she was talking about how energy converts into matter, how it becomes sort of present, that consciousness thing. The reversing of E equals MC squared, like the replicators. Goes one way and the other. And I was thinking on that in terms of the pineal gland, because as far as I'm concerned, that's a Stargate. You've got one in your brain. Okay, and the pineal gland gets more blood for its proportional size than anything else in the body. So that tells you it's important. It's got crystals in it, so you can see and hear with it. Okay, and it's believed it's got structured water in it. All right, and I think the mechanism of the way that you use the crystal in your brain as a Stargate, I think that the idea is to you trigger its function by some common chemistry, because it's in your brain, right? And somehow the chemical process triggers the water, the molecular structure, to flip inside out. Okay, and then when it flips inside out, your conscious awareness is going with it, because it's in your brain. Just like with psychedelics, it turns your senses inwards. Just like with meditation, you're blocking out the outside world, aren't you, and going inwards. When you point your senses inwards, I think it focuses your awareness into your pineal gland spot. And then the water flips inside out, so you're going from space-time, where it's 3-dimensional space and 1-dimensional linear time, and suddenly you're in time-space, where essentially everything's happening in one spot. You've got 3D time, but you're only seeing the bit that you're focused on, just because you're looking there. Do you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense to me. So the theory is that the Stargate is less a physical thing you walk through like the show, more of like an internal thing, like remote viewing. You're able to, or astrally travel, you're able to maybe go out of body and maybe visit these spaces that are portals. And the portals are this time space, and it's all through the pineal gland. I like it, man. I like the theory.
I think on the biological level, that's just the way it is, And I was glad that Matt mentioned the Kabbalistic tree of life, because I was going to mention that, because if you get that tree of life and consider duality, positive, negative, male, female, but if you take that tree of life and kind of slide it into itself, slide the two ends together, what you get is a hidden secret, and you get what's known as the Buckminster Fuller shape, the vector equilibrium, and that's like the only kind of the most stable shape there is in terms of vectors, because it's the only shape you can get where it's got all even sides, all the lines of it are even, and so no matter what angle you put pressure on it, it's always supported by something. And it's the explanation as to, the idea is from the work of Nassim Haramein that we see the expanding part of the universe, but one of the main first laws of physics is for every action is an equal and opposite reaction. So that means there's a contracting part to the universe. Okay, but we don't see it and we don't feel it because it's in perfect equilibrium. And the discovery of the shape, the vector equilibrium, proves that that's sort of possible. So there's a contracting part to the universe. And I think that's the space-time thing, like the ethereal matter sort of stuff that, about some of these alien abductees talking about some of the stuff that they said. And I've been talking about this, like they talk about going into a kind of hyperspace that's kind of like normal space, but it's kind of like, they call it fine matter. Do you know what I'm saying? So I was thinking of things like along those sorts of lines. But I also noticed there was in those pictures that Kelly posted, is it back up there? So I've done the mental stuff now. So onto the physical technologies, I noticed, and I've just done a show that ties into this about Adam's calendar, and there's all, and about these stone circles in South Africa, but they're all completely unique and arranged in a kind of sporadic way, but they're all arranged in a radial pattern, with circle in the middle, and clusters of, small circles around the outside. Okay, and it seems as if they've been sort of levitated into place. They're like cymatic patterns on the Earth. And the shape that they take is the same shape that you get inside for the magnetron in your microwave. Cavity magnetron. Cavitations works like that with microwaves. You have that central column in the middle, and you have these pockets on the outside, and they're all connected together, and it sort of amplifies. That's how microwaves work. So when I look at those ones found in China that Kelly's posted in the Discord, it makes me wonder about that and levitation and sound and stuff. Do you know what I mean? And I think, well, I think when you're dealing with frequencies, if you know what you're doing with it, you can do any and all of this stuff. Do you know what I mean? In the physical terms. So I think mentally we can do this stuff mentally, and perhaps even bilocate or whatever. And some people have known to be teleported in history of accident and levitated. That's been recorded in history. But I think with this stuff, I think they're like amplifying type situations.
Yeah, definitely. Kelly, anything on that?
No, that's kind of what I was talking about as well too, because it's the whole, like, with the energy vibration, the whole frequency thing, and that's what, like, that's what kind of what Rohan is talking about. I believe is that once those things are turned on, I mean, because they have been, they have done some studies on the pyramid, and it produces some kind of energy. I mean, but how much, and I don't know if they are even going to tell us that, because if you're pulling energy like that out of the off the planet, from the planet itself, you would think that that's just limitless. It's kind of like that's what Tesla was doing. He's trying to pull all the electricity out of the ionic sphere and send it out like Wi-Fi. It's kind of like that. That's how. And all you needed was a box to the house, and and then boom, there you go. So again, I mean, that's why
Tesla's radiant energy. I think Tesla was he's tapping the Earth. I think he might have been tapping sound. Because I don't know about the pyramids have been measured for that, but I know Adam's calendar, they measured 72 decibels of sound, but you just can't hear it. It's in the gigahertz, So, and then I think you got to remember. Sorry to cut you off. Just want to make this point. You got to remember that these things are old and they're probably broken as well. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, if the wars were, these books and everything, history that talks about, all this stuff, if, that's where you get the pyramid wars, these things are all, looks like they've been destroyed, the things up in Punapunku in Peru, like the ones in like the blocks, those things look like they were, it was obviously some kind of mechanism for building something, and, they don't want to have it or use it, so they destroyed it. And that's why these blocks, these things that, the ones that are cut perfectly shaped, you got magnetic fields inside of them. And then, they're all, like you're saying, they're all destroyed. They're no longer in use. But you can't destroy something like the pyramid, those things are like, like the megalithic pyramids, Egypt, like the ones I was talking, China, Mexico. I believe there'd be a way to turn these things back on. They would have to be. And again, with the noise thing, like you're talking about, like with the vibration, that's the whole aquifer that they had under. If you guys go ahead and take a look at that, you'll see what I'm talking about. Because Tesla took that same idea. That's where they think that he got the idea from, the aquifer underneath the tower and also underneath the pyramid, because it's like, if you had, it's say like a cave, right? And you're just forcing like water, through hydraulically, and you're just constantly pushing it, and it's, underneath it, it's creating a sound or a vibration. So yeah, I believe that too.
Good stuff. Yeah, this is pretty wild that it can be, like physical. It could be internal. It could be, we are the Stargate and all the rest of the stuff. And I think it does. It kind of fits snugly with the idea that, if you believe remote viewing's real, I think, the most apt term they could have used for that remote viewing thing with the CIA was Stargate project, because it's like that. So the Stargate is us, right? We're able to drive that chariot, as it were, through the sky, through time and space, just through our own consciousness. It's pretty wild. Pretty wild to think in terms of that, of just where we're going and where we're coming from. Pretty nutty stuff.
Do you know this is pretty wild on that one, Mike? You know how we say that they seem to in pop culture tend to seed it in pop culture and kind of put things in your face. And and in this Stargate series, there's an episode. It's one of them, like a 200th or 300th, where they do a couple of spoof episodes here and there. One of them's like a comedy episode on the 200th thing, where they do a show in the Stargate show about somebody wanting to make a Stargate show. So the Pentagon decide to let them do it. So if any of the information leaks, people will say, "Oh, it's on the tele, so it can't be real." It's like a nudge and a wink, like a wink, wink. This is on the tele, so it's obviously not real, folks. Wink, wink.
Right. So it's the disinformation campaign, right there in your face.
Yeah. There's an episode about that. Yeah.
That's hilarious. I love it. So we got a phone call. We'll go to. You still good, Kelly?
Yeah.
All right, let's go to this phone call, and they've been waiting about 10 minutes. I got timers. I make sure everybody doesn't have to wait too long. So let's go to. Looks like it's James in Washington State. What's up, brother? Welcome back to the show. How are you?
Hey, good. So I hear you guys talking about the Stargate. That's a great show. And it brings me back to the John Leonard Walton thing, and I wanted to see if you could pull that up and take a look at that and look at those ships. He's got tons of videos on them, any of them.
Okay, what is the thing here? What's it called again? Pulling it up right now.
Okay, so when you go to YouTube, it's John, John, Leonard, Lenard, and then Walson, Walson.
All right.
And if you look at any of his videos, there's the Trump Space Force, and I think that'll show it in the icon.
Okay, check in here. Let's see. He's got moon stuff. He's got. I'm looking for one called Trump Space Force.
Yeah.
All right. Let me do a search. Watch this. Let's use it against him. How dare you implement a search? There it is. Got it. So Donald Trump's Space Force Moon. Is that what we're looking at?
Well, the thing is, he has a bunch of hashtag videos that say observing the moon. But if you just click on any of the videos, there should be some of the footage of they look like giant transformers, like flying through the sky. And there's another one that looks like a giant, ship.
Got it on the screen. Yeah, this thing looks like it's in some kind of IR, maybe, meaning heat. It's heat signature. It's picking up some sort of. It's like orangish pink and kind of cruising. Yeah. I'm linking the video if you guys want to check this out. Yeah, there you go. All right, there's the video that we were talking about previously. Yeah, it's pretty nuts. That's pretty crazy. So I guess what exactly is this thing? This is some sort of craft or some sort of entity or some combination of the two?
Exactly. It's huge. That's a fact. It's huge. It's far bigger than ISS.
Yeah, pretty wild. No, I haven't seen this.
Because he's got videos of ISS.
Okay, interesting. So I'll keep it up on the screen here. If you guys want to check this out, I did link it in the chat, and you guys can check out this video yourself. You guys heard of this stuff, Kelly or Rohan? I think I've seen this. Is this in the Rings of Saturn? Where did he pick this stuff up?
He's in the United Kingdom, and and he's filming. He's filming the moon, and he picks stuff up when he's filming the moon.
Okay, so all over the place.
So I don't know exactly where, but he does film the Saturn and the other planets. If you look through his videos, you'll see he films all that stuff.
Gotcha. Okay, so guys, if you want to check this out, the link is already in the chat, and I'll add it to the description box as well. Kelly, you seen this stuff? I think we've talked about similar stuff before, right?
Yeah, it's the same one that I actually posted. It's not his per se, but it's all about him. I just actually posted one earlier today on Discord. It's 40 minutes long, but if you start at like 1640, he talks about these. Though that's the deep space objects they are talking about. But what he was kind of like what I'm doing. Through telescopes and shit like that. But what he thought was stars, because he was looking at stars. That's how he found these ships. And the location for them is, they kind of said it was, one of them is like by the Big Dipper, and the other one is by Orion's belt. And that's the one I was talking about, where what they look like is, the reason why he thought they were stars is because, they moved along with the other stars across the sky at night. So when he fixed it on there, yeah, these ships are huge. And then the reason why I say on that one for 40 minutes and start at 1640, because they have a bunch of other stuff that doesn't really pertain to his stuff. But at that point, that's where he talks about how these ships actually, they spread out and then they go back into their original shape, but like really fucking quick.
Yeah, that's right.
This shit is like it's like a transformer, like a robot transformer. It spreads out and then it goes back down into its regular shape. That shit is mind blowing to me. That's where I was talking about, like like last night we were talking about, secret societies or the breakaway societies. But the one I was talking about was the one we went to space, and that's his. And that's where I was talking about. This man has got some footage that's unbelievable.
Yeah, I think that might be that was what led Jacques Vallée in his book Passport to Magonia. He concluded in doing an extensive study into UFOs, he concluded the more spiritual than anything because of that shape-shifting thing. Do you know what I mean? He thought it was more paranormal than coming from other worlds because of that.
Interesting.
It does seem to have a paranormal nature to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Good stuff, man. Thanks for coming back and reminding me here. I would have totally forgot to pull this up and look at this stuff, but yeah, this is wild, man. This is one.
No,
of those
you guys were talking about it. I figured that was a perfect place to hop in and be like, "Hey, I remember this. Let's see if we can put this on the screen and see what you guys think." Because when I seen it, I was blown away, and I'm like, how can we get this out to people and show people what's really out there? Because NASA has no interest at all in showing us anything that's out there. It's insane.
Yeah, everything's you know what NASA stands for, right? You already know. Never a straight answer.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Never a straight answer.
Never a straight answer. You got it. I appreciate you calling back. Thanks for doing this. Like I said, all these links are in the description, guys, and also in the chat if you want to check this out. I appreciate it, my friend. James in Washington. Appreciate the call.
Hey, thanks.
Thanks a lot, brother. There you go. Phone works. Discord works. Yeah, this is nuts, huh? This is nuts. Either from either of you guys, any comment on this as we wind this down? We're getting to the end here, but like I said, nobody tells us when to stop. So if you guys got shit to say, you're more than welcome. Go right ahead.
For me, I just wanted to add those, the stories in there. Everybody's got some good takes again tonight, as usual. But yeah, for me, I don't know, like what's name was asking earlier, what's the difference between a wormhole, like a portal, and a
black hole?
That's what I talked about earlier. Is like if you're opening a portal, you can just walk through. It just kind of like that's why science didn't know so much about black holes. Can a planet just stay together and then go through, or does it be ripped apart? And so if that's the case, instead of like the one like the Star Trek things you guys were talking about where they were, you get transported down to a planet, that's something different. But as for like black holes, though, like I don't know, man, that's how powerful Those things are, and light, not even light can escape. You would think somewhat of a difference. That's why they're messing with, I believe they're messing with CERN. They wanted the God particle, the whole, the Higgs boson. They found all that. But now they're, that's why I always look, when I follow science, you see these little clips. They just kind of like put it out there. They're telling you, but they're not really telling you. They're like, well, we kind of theorize that we can open up a wormhole and stabilize it. So you're telling us that you have done it. That's how I.
Yeah, they're like, well, mathematically it's possible. Exactly. It's like, well, how do you know? How do you know? Right? Yeah. And that guy from the Department of Energy too that said that they're doing work in other dimensions as we speak. It's like, okay, was that just propaganda or what the hell? Right? Like some of the things they say, man. From some of these guys that it seems like clearly, right? If this was mind blowing and changing the world, right? The news cycles would blow it up. But you know how the news cycles work. They try and suppress shit. They don't try and blow things up that people need to actually find out, Yeah,
there's no real journalism anymore. That's all gone and dead.
Yeah,
there's no, they just want to talk about getting a flu shot or something.
Nice way to just slip that in there. Whatever the hell it is, whatever the hell that shit is. I don't know. Right on. What else you got? Anything else, Kelly or Rohan? Anybody?
That's it. I'm going to call it a night. You guys have a good one. We'll see you guys next week.
You're the best, brother. Have a fantastic weekend. Thanks for hanging out with us, my man.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
You too. All right, Rohan, the mighty Rohan. By the way, Rohan has a podcast, guys. If you haven't checked it out, please do. It's called the Exiled Minds Podcast. Link is in the description below. And Rohan is named Liam Martin, and he's also the fine fellow that does the our little mashup when we come back on the top of the second hour on the radio. So thank you for that, Rohan. And please give this man a follow. Go check out his podcast. He's on YouTube. He's on all the podcast platforms you would expect to find him, and links in the description below. What's your thought here?
You got that locked down, haven't you, Mike?
Hey, man, I've done it 1,000 times before for myself. I just slip in Rohan instead of Michael Strange. It's all good, brother.
There's the insert word here.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
The variable changed. But yeah, so what do you think here regarding the Stargate stuff? I know you're a huge fan of the series. Me too. I the more I'm watching it, the more I'm liking it. And it started out slow. So if you guys are like, oh yeah, I'm going to get into that, and you do, and you're like 6 episodes in, you're like, this is shit. What is he talking about? Yeah, the first 6 episodes were kind of shit. I've said that several times, and I stand by that. But the series in the 4th season is pretty damn hot. So it gets better. But yeah, so
I think they had a lot written for it. I reckon. I think they had a lot written for it, and they knew it was going to be big, and they were kind of finding their feet for a bit. Do you know what I mean? That's how it felt to me. Looking back.
Yeah. Well, as long as it got good, like, what's the difference, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's amazing. It just keeps going. It keeps escalating. And when you think it's all done, you think, oh, right, it'll be okay now, and then now it just gets worse. So it's good like that. But anyway, yeah. Yeah, I like that stuff. There's some great calls today. I particularly enjoyed that reference to the Kabbalistic tree as well, and the different dimensions, with the spheres being like different realms. I thought that's awesome, because that's like the Norse mythology stuff, isn't it? And then the Rainbow River as well. And those Sephiroths are different colours, aren't they, them spheres? So I thought it all kind of goes in together. And I remember that one time when I experimented with, got some Salvia divinorum leaves from the plant for the DMT experience after studying it for years. So I went and tried that, and that was the same thing as like a Rainbow River. So I thought, I found this stuff really, really fascinating. And like you say, I mean, just the example of Area 51. I mean, if governments are going to lie about building a building, lie about anything, won't they?
Yeah. Well, and here we are. So here's actually what Matt was talking about earlier. Thank you, Matt, for posting this in the chat. It's up on the screen if you guys want to check it out. And again, right, this is the type of stuff that we share with each other on Discord all the time. So here's the spot where we plug the Discord. If you guys haven't joined it, do it. There's a lot of folks in there. Again, right now, Rohan and I are on Discord. We're doing the show right now on Discord through voice, but you don't have to do voice. You can just type with other people, and you can share photographs and links and things like this. Like Matt took a picture from a book he has, put it in the Discord. I just grabbed the link and threw it up on, and bam. Like it's really an amazing program. Like I said, and until they start censoring things, I'm going to be full into Discord, because it's a pretty amazing thing. 8-Bit Melody on YouTube says, go look up when certain SG1 episodes aired. That's probably a whole conspiracy all by itself, right? Shit.
Oh, there's an idea. Oh, God. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. That represents 12 years. Oh, my God.
Exactly.
I'll see in 3 months.
Yeah. For real. Yeah. All right. So what else? What else with Stargate and all the rest of this, my man? I'm sure you got some good stuff here.
Well, yeah, it's one quite. So I want to mention Graham Hancock, fellow Briton, because he did a book, The Sign and the Seal, where he tried to look at the origins of the Ark of the Covenant that got mentioned, and he sort of followed the trail, and he kind of figured 2 things: one, that it was in Ethiopia, in this particular church, and they were saying, yeah, we've got it here. But this church is like it's carved straight into the ground, straight into the bedrock. The church is just one solid block of rock, and then they've carved the edges and hollowed it out. And they reckon that the Ark of the Covenant made that. And then with a bunch of references throughout history, and it makes it sound like that the wooden box was like a capacitor. That's why it had layers of gold on the inside, and it's because it needed to house this crystal. Had so many faces, 144 faces or whatever. But yeah, so I give that a mention, because that was the idea that was a powerful crystal, some kind of technology, and you get like radiation sickness from it. Unless you're very, very spiritual, you've sort of got a high vibration, if you will, because otherwise you just can't tolerate being near it. And historically, it was stolen from Solomon, and the thieves that took it got kind of boils, sound like radiation sickness, and they took it back. So I thought, give that a little mention. Give Graham, the Sign and the Seal, a bit of a shout out. Graham Hancock. Want to read about that?
Nice, Graham Hancock, very, very famous and influential in this type of world, right? Kind of going back and that whole what was it? What's the quote? We're a species with amnesia.
Species with amnesia. Yes, exactly. A brilliant quote. Yeah.
In that we a lot of this stuff maybe we knew at some point and just forgot it all, and then through some sort of cataclysm, whether it's the flood or whether it's an ice age or both, and we end up losing all that. And I think in that concept it makes perfect sense in a lot of ways, because imagine if I'm not praying for this or anything. I'm not saying the end is nigh, but imagine if like a super volcano or some shit blew up now. Like all the technology, all of the steps we've made would be forgotten. It would be lost to history. It'd be like the Library of Alexandria getting burned all over again, and we'd have to start from scratch in the Stone Age, right? We'd have to do it all again.
It scares in a way. I like to think about that, because it scares the crap out of me, because I think like Terence McKenna and the remote viewers, right? Terence McKenna pointed out we've mined a lot of the metals, haven't we? So you've got to get really deep down to get some metals. So you've got to wait for quite a while, haven't you, for the Earth to push some back up. Do you know what I mean? So if like I say, if there was not many people left after a big disaster, they find the Earth strangely depleted of useful metals, wouldn't you, for quite a while? So that's a tough one to consider. And also I think about the remote viewers remote viewed Atlantis, trying to see what happened. Destruction. And they reckon they were super high, good technology. I thought they were really good in that. Just like our scientists, they kind of ignored warning signs about things, and they were trying to tap the Earth to get geothermal power, allegedly. And they ended up popping it a bit like a balloon on one side of the Earth, and it essentially created a massive supervolcano. So, do you know what I mean? You think, well, if that really happened and they did it, and they're supposed to be, all really smart, and you think, oh God, they keep happening.
Ah, shit! Life. Here we go again.
Not again.
Not again. I'll show you a species with amnesia. Watch this. Boom. Yeah.
Well, the hydrogen bomb tests and stuff like they thought that might cause the planets turn into a black hole, didn't they? Or ignite the atmosphere. Go on, press it. Go on, Mickey. Go on, press it.
Yeah, like that the runaway vacuum decay, right? As Avi Loeb has said. Is it Avi Loeb? No, who said that? Stephen Hawking. I think that was his term regarding CERN, right? So you could, through smashing these particles together, create the ultimate portal, and that would be the black hole. And we'd find out exactly, what was on the other side awfully fast, because it would just destroy the entire Earth. And there's your amnesia. Definitely good shit, man. What else you got, my friend? Go ahead.
Didn't Sen say when they couldn't get the machine to work? Didn't they originally say that? Oh no, it did work. It did work, but it must have destroyed the universe and then put us onto a timeline where it didn't work.
Yeah, it could be the multiverse string theory. Yeah.
I think it just didn't work, and they didn't want to admit it. That they didn't know what was wrong with it.
Yeah, it could be. I'm with you. Who the hell knows, man? Who the hell knows? We'll see. I guess we'll see, right? Hopefully not in our lifetime. I'm okay with the technology the way it is, and growing and getting better, because that would be really super, super amazing. Good stuff. What else, my friend?
Awesome. That's me. That's me, man. I'll let you get going.
I'm in no hurry. It's like I said. It feels like Friday. It is Friday somewhere. It is Friday somewhere.
Yeah, I've had some smashing shows recent month. I've been smashing it, so well done on that. Wait, free cheers, right? Woo.
Yeah, thank you. But again, standing on the shoulders of giants. This show is not what it is without all of you guys that contribute, all the amazing calls, all the amazing chat, all the enthusiasm. Like I said, it's nearly impossible for me to go, I'm not interested tonight, because I know even if I'm like kind of have a maybe a sloppy premise, you guys still pull some amazing things out and teach me something no matter what. So every night's kind of like a college course in maybe juice, and I love it. I absolutely love it, and all that credit goes to you guys, all the energy and all the love and all the ideas and just getting behind all the things we're talking about. I appreciate that so much. So yeah, let's do it. Don't forget to follow Rohan. He's got a podcast called Exiled Minds. You can find it on YouTube, and you can find it on all the podcast places. Link in the description. Please give all the folks some love. You'll see him down there. Night Stalker's down there. Jennifer's down there. Robert's Book's down there. Rohan's down there. Tinfoil Timothy's down there. Who'd I forget? See, this way you can't list everybody because you'll forget somebody. I'll just read the list. How about that? I'm gonna do it this time. I'm not gonna forget anybody. You'll see. Watch this. That's why I write shit down. Then I don't have to. Yeah, here we go. Check this out. Oh yeah. I'm gonna just read the list. Here you go. Follow. Don't forget to follow James, Jennifer, Night Stalker. Robert's Book is there. Follow Rohan, Tam Bam in the Instagram. Follow Tinfoil Timothy. They're all there. Link in the description. And there you go. That didn't leave anybody out this time, did I? Don't forget all the amazing callers. I'm not going to list those guys out because those guys and gals, because I will leave somebody out, and I did that once, and I'm really sorry, Robert. I'm still trying to win that back my favor for botching it. But let's get the hell out of here. Rohan, what's up?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Mm-hmm. Follow Penny Bunny. There you go. Follow Penny Bunny. You're good.
Yeah. Gotta catch them all.
Gotta catch them all. catch all them Pokemons. Follow Penny Bunny. There you go. Also, yeah, scroll down algorithms there. If you go down to the bottom of the YouTube channel, there's lots of Friends of Troubled Minds. You can find them all there as well. So spread the love. There's other good people out there doing good work. So just make sure you at least, if you don't have the time, at least subscribe, and then go check them out from time to time. Go say hi and tell them Michael Strange sent you. And yeah, there you go. All right, so let's do it. Let's get the hell out of here. You got an outro for us there? Usually Jay has the J-tro, but he's probably busy right now, and that's okay. If you don't, I'm playing some music.
I think I want to hear some music, man. I've been on the music tip today as well. Let's hear some music. See,
all right. You got it.
Do it. Nice one, Mike.
You got it. How about some music? All right, this is the way it goes. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific, Troubled Minds. And well, as we finish and do our thing, it is the end of the week for us. So tomorrow you will get. I actually have some auction stuff to go pick up tomorrow. So I don't. Stay tuned tomorrow for God willing, of course, for Troubled Minds News at 3 p.m. Pacific. Maybe 4 o'clock instead. Maybe an hour later. We'll see. I'm gonna get it in. I just don't know what time because I got an appointment. Let's say. So if it's not 3, consider somewhere around 4. But Troubled Minds News on Twitch, that runs on Twitch exclusively, and you can find us there. Come say hi. It goes for an hour. Just kind of quick hit news stuff, and there you go. So as we finish this tonight, this is the end of the week. So have a fantastic weekend. Thank you again for all the energy, all the support, all of the amazing thoughts. Thank you for sharing your ideas. Like I said, your energy and your ideas is what make the world go round, and of course what make this show go round. So thanks for hanging out. You guys are the best. And Rohan, anything else?
My podcast is really good. You would definitely like it.
There you go. Exiled Minds podcast. The link in the description. Go check it out. And there you go. The outro howl. All right. So as we finish, you guys know the drill. We're done for tonight. Is the bad news. The good news is, God willing, we have tomorrow. And be sure, be strong, be true.
Be true.
Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours. Have a great night.